I'm on that overload, overkill. I'm redline and I'm blue pills. High octane's my intake. I'm P. Swayze, man, point break. Make no mistakes, I don't care. Not one shit will be given here. Make the room shake, earthquake, turbulence, outer space, yeah, let it go. Cruise control, full speed ahead with my eyes closed. I smoke the best, just hydro. Make my eyes red like Diablo. I'm taking off, next to go. Molotov, set the blow. These crimson eyes, I set the glow. Medieval shit, man, crossbows. We dangerous, beast mode. Got catapults for the bags of dope, man, set in stone, good to go. Found my zone, let me Alamo, yeah, big time. Dinosaur, so big, colossal. You stuck in dirt, man, fossils. We taking out full throttle, let's go. Yelling in the sky, singing. Rolling through the water, singing. Yelling in the sky, singing. Okay, get it.
It's March 16th, 2020 from the Troy Lee Design Saloon. Welcome to the Whiskey Throttle Show. I'm your host, David Pingree, and we've got a cool show today for you. A moto icon. If there was a tougher guy on the track, I don't think there was, actually. So we got Rex Staten here today. We're really excited to get into his story. My partner, as always, GL, co-hosting with us today, and Donnie Bale's our producer. Guys, welcome.
What's up? Good to be back.
It's going to be a fun one. Rex has got some stories. I think we're going to have a good time. He's brought to you by Yamaha, leaders in the power sport industry. If you guys are looking for anything on two wheels or four or a boat or a piano, go check those guys out. They support us. They support a lot of things in this sport. I love that they're giving back and really trying to prop up this market. So a big thank you to Yamaha. We're really appreciative to have those guys on board. PowerDot, you can go over there to powerdot.com if you are interested in checking out one of those units. Whether you're an athlete or not, this thing is amazing for injury rehabilitation, recovery, or just massage. There's all kinds of features it has. 20% off using our code Whiskey Throttle. Method Race Wheels, they're bringing you our front end chatter segment. These guys are just the leader in off-road world as far as wheels go. And they also given 20% off using the code Whiskey Throttle. So check those guys out. Troy Lee Designs bringing you our timeout today. Get over to Troy Lee Designs, check out all that they've got to offer, whether that's paint, gear, mountain bike. They cover a lot of ground and they make the best stuff in those spaces. SKDA, oh, I got to show you guys. They made us a Whiskey Throttle Show graphic.
Oh yeah, so
that they're going to be selling, and it is badass. We're probably a couple weeks from being able to show it, but we'll post that on our Instagram feed and put it on our website. Stoked. These guys are so creative and so cool. I'm excited to have them on board. So SKDA, if you're looking for graphics for your motorcycle, four-wheel parts, bringing you our Get At Me Q&A segment today. It's your one-stop shop for anything off-road for your vehicle. So including Method Race Wheels. You can go in there and they will install them. And anything else you want to pick up over there. Adidas, don't be a dick to your feet. Get in some good shoes. You walk around those things all day. You might as well be comfortable, right? Pro Circuit, they win. They race, they win. They do all of it. And the championships on their doors, I think, say all you really need to know about those guys. Dunlop Tires bringing you good traction. We appreciate their support as well. We're working on a discount code for them. So far, no luck, but hang in there. We're going to see what we can do. Nihilo Concepts, you're going to get a free gift over there using the code Whiskey Throttle if you pick up anything over at their website. And man, I can't recommend the frame guards or the lever grip enough. I love those products, but they've got all kinds of stuff, man. Go over and check out Nihilo Concepts. Fire Department Coffee, bringing you a little light roast today. If you are a coffee drinker, man, support a company that is run and owned by firemen, and they support this sport by supporting this show. This is the original energy drink, folks, and it doesn't have all that sugar and crap in it that the others do.
We just add that afterwards.
Yeah, we put in the vanilla cream and do it ourselves. Fire Department Coffee, 20% off using our code Whiskey Throttle. So go over there and pick some up and get a good deal. Seat Concepts. These guys are the leaders in the seat world in this sport, period. If you're looking for a replacement base, the foam, or just a cover, man, go over there and check those guys out. They can do all three or any one of those. So check them out. Very, very comfortable seats and a great selection and great quality. Specialized Bicycles. What we all use to train. It's what pretty much every guy in this sport uses to train. And they use those bikes because they're the best. Bottom line, Specialized makes the best stuff in the market. And we've got a brand new partner we want to mention today coming on board with us, OGIO Power Sports. So if you're looking for a gear bag, a travel bag, backpacks, ski bags, man, anything you need to put in a bag, OGIO's got you covered. And their stuff is so good. I've still got OGIO bags from the old Andy Bell days, you know, when he was throwing
last
gear everywhere.
forever.
They last forever.
They're really good.
They're really, really great bags. So check those guys out. We're stoked to have them on board. So big thank you to OGIO. And that brings us to our featured guest. We got Rick Staten in the house. Welcome.
Hi, how are you guys?
We've had you on the list for a long time to get in, and I'm excited to hear some stories. I think you got them.
I got a lot of them. 30 years of it.
I love it. All right, we're going to get on into all that. I want to drag you into our first segment here called the Method Race Wheels Front End Chatter. If you're not familiar, this is where we just cover a few current events topics. And Method Race Wheels is the lightest, strongest, fastest wheels for your truck, van, sprinter, UTV. So if you're looking for something, get over there. Like I mentioned, they got a discount code using Whiskey Throttle. No capitals, no spaces. Get you 20% off. So the first thing I want to talk about is Daytona. And I think it's fitting that we've got a Daytona winner here, the 1980 Daytona Supercross winner, which you just went back there, huh?
Yeah, I was just coming back from Daytona. Actually, they had a 50-year anniversary over there, and they called me up and asked me, hey, would you come back? I said, sure. You know, I won it in 74 on that Honda 500 that they brought in. There was only one 500. Actually, it was a 380, and I had 3 mechanics. I'm like, why? I got so many mechanics. They go, no, we just, it's a new bike, and we want to make sure everything's right. And we kind of gave Roger DeCoster a spanking there, and that was it.
Yeah,
And,
you pretty much, you said you kind of whipped his ass.
yeah. I did. Yeah, and then he came over and was wanting to talk to me, and I'm just thinking, who's this guy, you know? And they go, oh, yeah, he's 5-time world champion. I'm like, it don't matter to me. I'm here. My dad told me, you out there riding, you ain't playing with Barbie dolls.
That's it.
You know?
That's it. Well, Eli Tomac won his 4th, which I think is a huge feat. Anybody that's winning that many races down there, definitely clicking with that place. How important is that win to you? What does Daytona mean?
That's, if you want to win any race there is in the United States, usually it's Daytona, because that's the big bad boy one, and it takes a lot of endurance. And it's a little different now. I mean, they only got 20 guys on the line, 22 guys. Back in my days, it was 40 guys on the line.
Yep.
And we had 3 30-minute motos.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We didn't have this 20 minutes and it's over.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was 3 motos and you had to ride. And then we rode bikes that only had really 6 inches of travel, you know, where these guys are running 14 inches of travel nowadays.
Yeah.
And you guys had one gate of 40, right? It wasn't 2 rows like they'd done later in the years.
The very first time I rode there, I even think there was a rubber band start, to be honest with you, you know, and
2 rows probably?
No, it was 1 row. 40 guys across, and you all going into that first turn. And it was pretty hairy. You just had to hang on, baby.
Well, I did it several times, 95, 97, and it was still 40-man gates then.
Oh, wow.
And then it's gone to 20. So it's sort of, and it was during the day back when I did it still. It was just, of course, one main event, regular Supercross format. But, man, the difference between riding it during the day when that sun is blazing down on you and the humidity's crazy versus at night now, it's night and day. It was so much tougher back then.
Right. It was tough.
So I can't imagine 3 30-minute motos.
You know, and you look and sometimes 100 humidity and, 100 degrees. And you get that, we had leathers. We didn't have nylons and all that back in the day.
Yeah, you don't think about that.
I mean, I would come back in and my leathers would weigh 5 pounds more than what they normally weigh. It was just sweat.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, leather and sweat don't really go together.
No. Especially when they're black.
Yeah. And then I want to touch on... I'm calling it the curious case of Shane McElrath. This guy, Shane's an awesome dude, really like him. He came out firing this year, and I thought, oh man, maybe this is his year. But he's done that before with KTM when he was here with Troy Lee Designs. He would go out and win the opener, and then just sort of like this steady decline. And his scores this year so far are 1, 2, 3, and 5 at Daytona now. And I'm thinking, man, what's going on there? Any ideas? Any thoughts?
I think with McElrath, he's always a strong starter, and he's proven that year in, year out. I don't know if it's so much like, hey, got to be really concerned, because if you look at it, 1, 2, 3, he did podium the first 3 rounds. Yeah, it was going in that direction, you're saying. And then you throw in, okay, Daytona is that unique track, maybe not his specialty. So I think it's going to be really important what he does from here, because if the trend continues, it's never good, because riders know that deep down. They look at the results. So he has to turn it around the next race.
Yeah.
I think it's going to get into his head and it's going to start slipping. The other guys are finding their form, and I think they're going to capitalize.
Yeah, I think it's, as you mentioned, this next round is going to be clutch for him.
I think
because if he gets a 6,
all of a sudden it's just that, well, there's that trend, there's that slope.
Yeah, if he can come back out and win, he's right back in it. Well, interesting to see what happens there. I always like to follow when a guy switches from one team to another, because in their head, that's what they needed. This is the formula. If I go here, I can win. And yet, if you look at the results, a lot of times they're kind of the same. Leopard doesn't change his spots, they say. So,
what do you think about this battle between kind of RJ Hampshire and the other two? It looks like RJ and Sexton kind of are going back and forth a little bit here.
Yeah, that's a fun class to watch so far. I don't know who I would pick if I had to pick a winner right now. I thought it was cool to see Marchbanks get his first.
Yeah, he rode well.
He earned that.
Yeah, he rode great.
It was good to see him do the heat race win and then go on to win the main. So it wasn't a fluke.
Yeah. And I love that Ivan was there. He's been his coach here for the last couple of years. So stoked for those guys. But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic with Sexton. I did think Martin would be better. I thought that would be his time to shine.
Daytona is also a weird track, because I think sometimes people think, oh, he's a good outdoor rider, he's automatically going to do well there. It's not a just typical outdoor track either, and it's not a Supercross typical track. It's a hybrid, and it's got its own uniqueness to it. They've always done things. It's different dirt, it's sand, it's clay. So tires never work great everywhere. There's a lot of elements, but I think overall it's a unique track.
Don't you think that Martin could kind of still be finding his race speed? I mean, he hasn't raced besides the season for a year and 2 years.
I think it's just because he started so strong this year. I think maybe a few of us were like, okay, he's not much of a Supercross guy, but he's had good pace. He's shown that he's been right there. So you're like, okay, maybe this is going to be his breakthrough race. But there's a lot of guys that are riding well. I mean, both classes. So it's hard to predict what's going to happen. I think on the day, it's how the guys adapt to the track and then just get that race pace going as well.
You mentioned we talked about the track kind of changing over the years. It was in a completely different location back then, huh?
It was basic. What happened was we started like in the infield where they start, but we had to go across the pavement. We had to go through the K-rail. We had to go through the chain link fence. They took sections of the chain link fence about 10 feet, and we would come through, and then we would come across on the pavement and then turn, and would have sand on the pavement. And it was kind of slippery. You got to be careful, because I can remember Gary Jones going down and got his foot caught in a guy's rear wheel. I think it was Peter Lampoos, and sucked his leg all the way up in there. They had to take the shocks off the bike to get his leg out, and he broke his leg that year. He was
he told us that story. Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of the track, the way it was then versus what it is now?
It gets rough, and then they didn't grade stuff for us back then. I mean, we just rode. I mean, coming across the pavement, and there are big holes. You had to be careful because you don't want to hit that ledge because it would blow a rear tire or have a flat tire. And nowadays, I mean, it seems like as soon as they get a little rut, they got to go out there and grade it for them. And I mean, I don't see that. I can see maybe doing the first turn, graded that. But I don't go see all the jumps. I can remember going through the jumps. Foot pegs are dragging, feet are off the pegs, and you're just hanging on,
I did notice they went in and kept cleaning up the whoops probably three times.
Because it's, in my opinion, I think it's any time you have a crash, was that, multiple. But it was two guys that tangled, and then it was guys rolling off that created that. And then what's the next thing they do? They grade it because... I don't know. It's just that's what's gotten into our sport these days is if anything's a little bit challenging, we've got to remove it.
I would say...
I'm not saying it's good or wrong or different, but it's just, getting back to your point, it's where do we stop?
Well, here's my thing. If it's a safety issue, okay. Like a face of a triple, if it's the ruts are so deep,
and a
these
massive
guys are jumping 70
and everyone's going, hey, man, we're all concerned for our safety, and it's unanimous. I agree with that.
But whoops, to me to go in, and those are just kind of rolly whoops. I'm sure they were getting cupped and
did you see RC almost fall in the parade line? Do you think he puckered up a little bit there?
I'm sure.
Well, at least he saved it.
He did save it. Yeah, that was
I think it would have been a bit of a tougher one if he laid it down because he probably would have been a little bit embarrassed about that one.
That would have been pretty bad.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of that goes, and Daytona is interesting as always. Hey, I want to make a quick mention. We've got a bunch of new merchandise coming out, including a Mike Metzger design that he did for us that is really cool. That'll be over at our website, which will be live next week. By the time this show comes out, you can go to whiskeythrottleshow.com. And our website has not been anything to write home about for the past year, but we've got it redone.
Hey.
Because Donnie did it. He never done one.
Yeah.
but he was going to be better than we were. So anyway, it's redone. It's cool. Go check it out. And we've got all the shows will be there. Like Rex today, for example, brought a whole photo album of stuff that no one's ever seen. And we've got a lot of that from David Bailey and Tripes and a lot of those guys. Cool stuff you've never seen. And we're going to have all those photos loaded up into there and posted underneath the show. So you'll be able to check that out as you're listening or watching. So get over there and check that out. You can pick up all our merchandise over there as well. We're also going to be having a drawing for some Rex Staten signed posters from his Daytona trip. So there'll be a tab on there to go and sign up. We'll continue to push that through our social media channels. But sign up. We're going to give away these signed posters. And, go check out our new website and pick up some merch. For right now, if you just can't wait, you can go over to whiskeythrottlemerch.com and pick some stuff up. And that's a big thanks to Temecula T-shirt printers. And lastly, I want to mention Mad Skills Motocross. The 2020 World Championships are coming up here soon. And you're going to be able to go and play the jam events and do compete in a world championship for that. It's going to be pretty neat. They also have another Mad Skills version coming out soon, but we'll have more info on that as it drops. But get over and get ready for that world championship that's coming up. That's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, that brings us to our guest, brought to you by Yamaha. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let's get into your career, man. So you grew up in Fontana? Is that where you're born and raised?
Yeah, I was actually born in San Bernardino, but I was raised in Fontana.
Okay.
And I was kind of, they call it Fontucky.
Fontucky.
I guess we were hillbillies or whatever back then. But, oh, well, it was a long story. I always told my dad, I started riding at about 9 years old. And I always told my dad, what do you think? And I got to be about 13. I said, Dad, can I go race? I was riding a 175-07. It was Enduro. We took the headlights and tail lights off. And he says, you know what? That's very dangerous. I don't want you really doing it. I go, then can I ride the mile or whatever on the big bikes? He's like, no, I sure don't want you doing that. I said, all right. And I just had a friend. My dad had a little bike shop with another guy. It was called S&S Cycles. And we sold OSAs. And I said, all right. And next thing we went out to a desert race. It was up in Oak Hills. It was called the Club.
Oak Hills, like up in Victorville area.
Right there. Right there, at the top of Cone Pass. Okay. And I said, Dad, can I go? And he says, no, it's pretty bad. I don't want you to get hurt. I said, Dad, I just want to follow everybody. And he goes, okay. If you see 3 limes, that means danger. Be careful. I said, all right. I get it. I'm just going to follow him, I says. Next thing I know, we had to stand in front of the bike, and we had to look back at the guy with the banner. He drops the banner. We had to run around, jump on the bike, kickstart the bike, and take off. I came off 3rd. And by the first lap, I was leading. I actually won the race. And from that day on...
Was it a motocross event or like a scramble?
It was a scramble. So
okay.
It was a hare scrambles. And it was kind of like motocross. You had little hills and turns and corners, And I can just remember going to the car and seeing some guy get off and go through the big old bush. And I'm like, whoa. And, this is good. And then I actually won the race. And from that day on, I was like, Dad, let's go racing.
And what year was that?
That was 68.
68, okay.
Yeah.
Was your dad there throwing his arms up, like telling you to slow down or anything?
No, he was excited. After that, he's like, oh, I think maybe this guy's got a little bit in him, because he knew I wasn't afraid. And back then, I kind of boxed and did that kind of stuff, and he knew I was a little rough, tough kid.
Yeah, I'd heard you did some boxing. Was that something you did like from the time you were pretty young?
Yeah, I was young. It was 13 to about 15. I just was messing around with some little gold gloves here and there and playing, and boxing. And I thought, Dad, I don't really want to do this. This ain't what I want to do, I don't think my head's hard enough.
I was going to say, it's a tough way to make a living. Even when you win, you still kind of lose.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a few brain cells left.
And it was good that way, I figured if I got into the racing or whatever and I had to take care of myself, I could take care of myself.
Yeah.
And back then I went to Westlake. There was a big Europeans against Americans and all that back in 68 and stuff. And seen that big race down there in Westlake. And I said, man, I want to do that. And I seen Joe Rivera riding a wheelie around the track, leaving everybody, and I'm just thinking, man, these Europeans, they're pretty good, but realize they're the ones that have been doing the sport for a long time.
Yeah.
We just getting into it. And then a little later in life, I got on the OSA stuff, and I was riding Dead Man's Point. There was a racetrack up there, and then my dad says, you ain't going to race one track. You're going to race all of them. And it's not going to be every week. You're going to race this track this week, this track the next week, this track. You're going to bounce around, and you might come back to Dead Man's again in a month, because I wanted you to learn how to ride.
Different tracks, different conditions.
That way you knew what you go up to.
Was there also different competition when you went to the different events, or was it kind of the same people doing all of it?
It was kind of the same people, and I was a junior.
Yeah.
Back then it was junior, intermediate, and expert. I think they call her senior or something like that back then. And I remember seeing Jim Wilson and all those guys, and I thought, man, I want to be like that, you know.
Who was the guy you looked up to, if you had to pick one guy?
My first guy I ever looked up to was a guy named Ronnie Peterson. He was the expert at that time at Dead Man's Point. And then there was a guy named George Spellman. And then I set my golds. And then after I got out of that rank, I was expert by that time. I was looking at Jim Wilson and the bigger boys. And then I was riding, actually, I wasn't even expert then. I was a junior, and I went to LJ Ranch. It was a CMC race.
Where the heck is that?
Yeah, it's up in Utah, Zion National Park. They had a big race going on up there. Really nice, like European track, everything. I get there and I tell Stu, hey, I want to ride amateur today because I want to whoop this guy that I've been racing with the whole time. He was the amateur, and he was the top guy. And he says, okay, let's see what your lap times are, and I'll let you know. Coming after practice, he goes, you riding expert? Expert? I'm like, oh my God, I got John DeSoto, Brad Lackey, Billy Clements, Briar Holcomb, all these guys, Eddie Cole. I got all these guys. And I go, all right. I told my dad, man, I can't race with those guys. He goes, hey, you put your pants on the same way they put theirs on? I said, no, Dad, I jump into mine. And my dad got a kick out of that. Next thing I know, I ended up second behind Billy Clements that day. And that was my first expert race. I made $75, and I'm like, hey, all right.
I like the expert class.
I like this money stuff.
Well, that would have been a lot of money then as well. I mean,
yeah, no, it's a good payday back then.
I was going to say, that'd probably be about getting like $750 today. Right?
What was it to sign up? Do you remember?
I think it was like $15 or something like that. It wasn't that much, you know. I mean, it was. I mean, Dad always kind of took care of it. And from the time I was 9 years old till I was 16, my dad bought me 28 motorcycles.
Jeez.
My dad actually made my mom kind of suffer. I mean, she wanted drapes, she wanted a carpet, and he says, "No, we need another bike." Yeah. Bikes back then were $800, and you know, eventually he bought me a nice brand new Pirelli out of Italy and all that. But then I had like a CZ 125 kinda that had like what called dingle balls hanging around the seat cover or whatever, you know. But then I rode a 305 Super Hawk out in the desert, took the pipes off and rode out in the desert, and then I had a Tiger Cub 200. I mean, bikes were kind of junk, you know. Yeah. And I rode a BSA Gold Star and a 650 Triumph that my dad had. And then eventually when I did get into the OSA stuff, then it started that. I went from a 175 to a 230 to a 250. And then he says, son, I'm going to buy the last bike. You're 16 years old. You're going to finish school. When you finish school, you can do whatever you want. But this is the last bike I'm going to buy you. I'll pay $1,000. You pay the tax. Or $62. He says, you're on your own now. If you want to make it, you're going to make it. I'm like, all right, Dad, no problem. Got on that CZ, went out, started winning races, making money and stuff. And then a guy named Warren Burrell from American Motocross picked me up. They were Irish did and Get in Motion, and they were riding for him.
Oh, yeah.
I jumped into that, and then I was like winning all the time. And then Honda came and grabbed me. And
so what were you riding when you jumped on that team? Was that Mako?
Yeah, that was a Mako.
Okay.
And for Warren Burrell. And I was riding the 400 and the 440 at that time. And then
and were you racing like Golden State? Was it where the Golden State's around?
It wasn't going then.
Okay.
But it was like CMC races with Carlsbad. I would go to Lions, night track. I wasn't really like to go that far away because it was pretty far for me to go race nights. But they had a track in Fontana, drag strip. I raced there with CMC. Irwindale, I was like the champion at Irwindale.
Escape Country and Terminal Island?
Yeah, Escape Country, I rode one time there on a CZ, one there, and then didn't really go back because that was a ways. Mostly with Saddleback.
Corona, right? What about that Corona Raceway? Wasn't that a big deal?
Yeah, that was a pretty deal. I was kind of unbeatable there, and what happened, they put a bounty on me, and anybody could beat me and get $50. And
oh, is that right?
There was kind of some little wars that went on out there. What happened, the whole team Yamaha came out to spank me. I had Weiner and Tripes and Don Jones, Gary Jones, and Dwayne Jones. And what happened was the Yamaha manager was out there that night, and they walked out on. I was leading. Weiner passed me. I passed him back. I'm 15 years old. I'm just a little punk. And next thing I know, this guy walks out in front of me, and I almost hit him. And I swerve. I miss him. I almost hit the wall. My dad told the guy, hey, man, get off the track if you don't have a flag. The guy goes, we manufacture motorcycles, not flags. My dad says, you don't do a very goddamn good job of that either, right? Next thing I know, the guy throws a beer at my dad said, because my dad never argued or nothing. And then my dad just laid him out, cold-cocked him, knocked him out. He was out for 3 minutes laying on the course. Next lap, I come around. I'm like, oh, no, there's a body. I went around.
There's a body.
Yeah. I swerved around the body and stuff and went, all right. Came back in. The race was over. I won the race. They were trying to gang up on my dad, and I kind of went to Weiner and just shoved him a little bit and gave him a little smack. And, and then Don Jones and Dwayne Jones and Gary Jones, they were all going to jump my dad, and it was a big friend there. He's a black guy, and he says, Mr. Staten, I'm on your side. Let's go. My dad says, let's go, Rocket. Let's get him. And we went to start going to tear them up, and then the cops came and broke it all up, and then we just had to kind of walk away from it and everything.
Oh, man.
But then I think
Hey,
that's
at least
why
they walked away back then. Now it's like all these
I'll get him.
suits, yeah.
Don't worry. I've been chased with a bayonet, and I've been hit in the face with a crescent wrench, and I've been busted up pretty good.
We'll get to those stories. All right, so you were doing all the local races back then. That was on a Mako early on.
And a CZ.
Yeah, and how did those rides come about? Just out winning local races and guys
Yeah,
kind of
bus
tracked you
shop,
down?
a shop like Triumph Suzuki, a promoter says, hey, we'll sponsor you, we'll give you a bike or whatever, and we'll give you 20% off on parts or whatever, you know, and if you win, you might get a free tire and whatever, you know. We just make about 15, 25, 35 bucks a moto win.
Okay.
And then I'm thinking, you know, I go to the races, 20 minutes, that was nothing, you know, the local race. I'm going to ride 2 classes, and then I got a 250 and a 500 and started riding double classes and doing that because I figured if I'm going to be there all day, I want to get some riding in.
Yeah.
And that's how that all came about.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I remember of you too, is you would race several classes, like as many as you could sign up in, you were racing.
The most I've done in one day was five classes. I rode 250 Pro, 500 Pro, Vet Pro, Senior, and I rode the Vintage. This was out at 29 Palms out in the desert, and this is when I just turned 40, and I was riding 5 hour or 5 1-hour motos. But I would ride a lot, and my body tells me now that I did maybe rode a little bit too much.
Yeah, maybe. All right, so what years was that when you got that Mako ride and you were riding the CZ?
That was 72, 73.
Okay. And then the following year you got a ride with Factory Honda?
Yes.
74?
Yeah, right. They came and picked me up and said, hey, you know, my dad said, okay, now you can go racing because you finished school. I wasn't really allowed to go back east and go racing back in the day when I was in high school.
So Dad made you finish high school?
Yes.
Yeah. And Dad was a no bullshit kind of guy, it sounds like, huh?
Yeah, no, what he said was, he says he brought me into this world and he'd take me out. I said, okay, Dad. But yeah, he was tough. He was a good supporter. I mean, he backed me 100%. He was always there. He would tell me, hey, you know what? You just got to work at it harder, you know? And he would go to the track and he would stand in the corner and he says, you do not shut it off till you see me. When you see me, you can shut it off then. And then as soon as you're in the center of the apex, I want you on the gas. I'm like, Dad, I'll never make the corner. I'll crash. He's like, go back and do what I just told you. I'm like, here's a bike. You do it. Bam! He hits me, knocks me off my bike. I says, okay. I get back up. I get on the bike. I figured I'm going to show him I ain't going to make the corner. I'm going to crash. I come down that stairway wide up into that corner, brake, and then on the gas, and I made it. He's like, see, I told you. And from that day on, he was there. I mean, he kind of had a 2x4 in his hand once in a while, threw rocks at me because sometimes I would like roost him a little bit just to give him a little piss off.
Just to get a little steam off.
Right, tell him, hey, you never did this. He's like, you're the one who want to race, not me. And I'm just trying to make you better.
Yeah.
Talk about mini dad, right? OG mini dad.
Yeah. Yeah, he was tough. He was there, backed me, and I mean, he never really said too much. He was serious, and like he says, you're there racing, you put your leg over that bike, you're racing. You're not playing with Barbie dolls.
Yeah. Yeah, and that kind of reflected your attitude on the track through your whole career. I mean, I think people were pretty scared of you.
Yeah.
In fact, we were chatting earlier. Bones told me a story when he found out you were coming on about they were working with Eric Kehoe one time at this local Glen Helen race, and he happened to stuff you on the track. And he finished the race, he wins, and he came flying into the pits. Bones said he was like full throttle, into the pit area where Pro Circuit was helping him. he's like, "Hey, I stuffed Rex. You guys, I'm gonna be up here. Like, if he comes in, you know, I don't know. I think he's gonna be pissed out. Like, he was terrified that you were gonna come and kill him." And I mean, I think that happened probably a lot.
Yeah, how it kind of got started was Europeans. I see the Europeans coming over and banging the Americans around. Americans were letting them get away with it. And I thought, you don't want to bang me around, because you bang me around, I'm going to get you twice for every time you hit me once. And that's just the way I was. And I didn't really, I mean, Heike McCullough was my favorite rider back then.
Yeah.
And I like that little rough look, you know, and I was kind of thought, all right. And I figured, you know, we'll tie into each other one of these days and whatever. No, I never backed down. The first guy I had it out with was Falta.
Yeah? Where was that?
Lexington, Ohio on 74. I was trying to pass him. He tried to run me into the hay bales, and I thought, all right, buddy.
It's on.
You are in the hay bales now. And I took him right off the track upside down in the hay bales, you know.
Did he ever say anything to you after the race?
No, they just come over and stare at you, you know, like look at you. And then I would kind of just give them that dirty look, you know, like, come on, brother, let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, no big deal. You know, but the Russians were the same way. I mean, that big Russia dude that rode KTM.
Gennady Moiseev?
Yeah. I got it in with him, too. And, I mean, I just never backed down. I remember when I was doing the trophy donations and motocross donations and all that, they would come in and I see them just stare at me. You know, and I just give them that dirty look because I had that goatee and I had that Heike McCullough look, you know, and I wasn't going to back down from them.
I love it. Did you ever throw hands with any of those guys?
Yeah, I threw some fists with a guy named Vic Allen at Carlsbad. He T-boned me, took me down, and I was on the ground. I just got up and just started beating the shit out of him right there on the ground, you know. And, I mean, spectators, they kind of loved it. They like all that action, you know, and
Oh, they still like it. It's just nowadays you're not allowed to show up the next race. Most likely,
there's a picture. It's like in a right-hand corner, and you're down, and you're on top of somebody. Is that?
Yeah, that's Vic Allen from Scotland.
Okay.
What happened was we're racing Carlsbad GP, and he's on a CCM, and I'm on a Harley, and that CCM would just smoke that Harley up that hill, and I kind of moved over on him a little bit, you know, just kind of
take the line away.
Yeah, and next thing I know, I think I pissed him off. You know, and he thought, I got down in the infield there at Carlsbad, and after we went on around the start and that horseshoe and then that X corner, he just held it wide open and just T-boned me and took me out. And I just knew, I figured I was going to be me and Roger that day. That just kind of was my figures we were going to tangle, but it wasn't Roger. It was that guy, and I just got up and just started going for him.
Yeah.
But it's funny because everybody says now, and I mean, I've met him and stuff. He's just a little guy. I didn't realize he was that little, but I wasn't that big either back then, but it was good.
Yeah. So how did that fight end?
Actually, I had some internal bleeding inside. What happened was I must have landed on the foot peg or whatever, and then they took me in a helicopter to the hospital, and then I had some internal bleeding going on or whatever, and then I didn't get to race that race. And
I would guess not. I just had some light internal bleeding going on.
But back before that...
But you still got up and fought him, even bleeding.
Man, I was going to just drill in big time. But even before then, in 72, me and John DeSoto got into it. Because when we came to a downhill, I said, there's no one who's going to beat me on a downhill. I don't care who he is. The GP that one year, Roger passed me, and I just passed him right back down the downhill, and then I just started taking off and for a pretty big lead.
At Carlsbad?
Yeah, Carlsbad GP. But this time it was John DeSoto. It was 72, actually, when this was, and John was coming down on the right-hand side, and I was coming down on the inside, and then John, as soon as it kind of dropped off, he kind of moved over to the left. I'm going so fast, I can't move, especially when you're in the air, and I just hit the side of him, and it threw me over the chain link fence, and I landed on a sprinkler and split my head wide open. And I'm laying there. I hit John so hard, he couldn't even make the corner at the bottom of the hill. He went right up the chain link fence and went down. He comes running back up, and he's going to beat the hell out of me, right? He comes up and runs and looks and sees me. I'm all blood, and he's like, I don't have to do anything. He's already tore up, you know?
Yeah.
Jeez. And that was that. Then next weekend, I just wore some padded glasses I bought from Malcolm Smith. And I was out racing, and somebody says, there's an article in the magazine, looks like his face went through a meat grinder, but he's back out here racing.
That's hilarious. All right, so how was the factory Honda in 74?
It was good. I had a lot of little problems. You know, they were just coming out. That was the only bike there was.
Was that the Elsinore?
Yeah, it was the Elsinore, but it was a 380, and they only made one of them. and before they
'Cause
made the 500s.
The 250 came out the following year,
73.
right? Oh, it was 73.
Gary Jones and them rode those in 73.
right.
And then 74, we had a pretty big team. We had Billy Grossi. We had, or on the 125 guys, we had Bruce Madugo. We had Marty Smith. And then it was Billy Grossi, and I'm trying to think who else was riding. And then it was me on the 500. And we went to Hangtown to win all three classes. And we won first motos of all three. Second moto, Marty won. Billy Grossi won. And I was in a big pileup in my moto and tore my pipe off my bike. And I ran back to the pits to get my bike fixed. I said, put the pipe on, hurry up, I want to go. And I was like 2-3 laps down. And I went back out and I raced the whole race. You know, nowadays I notice they break the clutch lever and they're like, oh, my day's over, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, and they just pull off like, hey, no, I wanted to ride.
How long was that moto?
45 minutes, you know.
That also helps.
Did you get back into any points or no?
Yeah, I ended up 13th. I got up to 13th that day. And
points.
yeah. And it's just like you can go back to 75. If you look at LA Coliseum Super Bowl of motocross, you know, Czechoslovakian broke his arm. They asked me, hey, you would want to ride his bike? I said, sure. I rode his bike, leading the Coliseum. I'm about 2 laps left from the end. I decided I'm going to do a double. We didn't do doubles back then. I caught the last one. It flipped me, and if you see it on the YouTube, the bike lands right on top of me, and just, I mean, I was knocked kind of silly. I got up. I went the wrong way on the track. They told me, no, you got to go that way. I turned around and went back that way. I finished 7th that night after that. But, I mean, I was banged up pretty good. You can see when I get up, you know, I'm staggering, you know.
What year was that?
That was 75. You go under YouTube, go under LA Super Bowl of motocross.
Okay. And it was Falta? Or whose bike was it?
I was riding Velke's bike.
Which was what?
That was a factory CZ.
Okay.
And then actually I had another guy. There was a couple Europeans. And we were doing the NRAM series at that time. And then he broke his arm and they asked me, hey, we got this bike. Would you like to ride it? You know?
It seemed like there was a lot of that going on. Like, when you got picked up with Honda in 74, was it for the whole season?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it seems like here and there you kind of would ride this bike at a race or someone would support you and you'd ride this here. No,
when I signed with Honda, I had to ride the whole year.
Okay.
And then I had problems with the foot pegs and stuff like that. I broke my ankles a couple times and I had to be taped up pretty good to ride and I was in a lot of pain. Pegs were a little bit too low, especially when we were going through all those ruts over the big jumps. Mm-hmm. You know, feet get torn off and whatever, but...
Yeah, and this was back in the era where things were breaking. You had to really carefully ride the bike, which doesn't seem like your style. You know, like you would do great, I think, on a modern bike where you can't break it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
My dad always told me, he says, you know what, I swear, you on that 250, you out there just deliberately trying to tear it up. I'm going to put you on a 500. It can tear you up. And that's what happened. And when I was young, that's why I was always riding a 500.
Yeah.
You know, because he didn't want to fix them all the time.
I don't blame him.
Ride a 500 with a little bit of respect.
That's right.
All right, so how did 74 go as far as results? You were doing the Nationals that year?
I did the Nationals. I ended up missing a couple of them because I was hurt. I think I ended up finishing 8th in the 500 Nationals that year.
So not bad. 75 and 76, I don't see... You know, I'm looking through the vault. I don't see many results from you those years.
No, 75, I was kind of a privateer. I couldn't really afford to go back east and stuff like that. 76, Harley picked me up.
Okay.
You know, and my first race on the Harley, I beat Tony DiStefano in Orlando, Florida. And Harley thought they had a bike. And this bike would break a lot of times. And we were doing the development. AMF was sponsoring us at the time. And I just gave it all I had for those 2 years and was hoping eventually I'd get picked up by a factory or whatever. I always wanted Yamaha or something back then, but I had a problem at beginning with Yamaha manager and all that.
Your dad knocking him out?
Yeah.
That doesn't go a long way towards getting it right. So how was this Harley Davidson bike? It actually, when you look at it, it's cool looking. I know Tom White has one in his museum, and it's
my dad has one.
It's very cool to look at. But how was it?
To me, it reminds me of old DT1.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it was kind of a sled, heavy, 242 pounds. It was pretty heavy and didn't really have that much horsepower. And then they told me, "I'll get you an open bike," and all they do is just put a bigger piston and a bigger barrel, give me a 360, and that's what I rode in the 500 class.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
I almost won Unadilla. I came from dead last to second at Unadilla. It's just because we had 45-minute motos. I was in good shape, and I almost got Marty Smith. One more lap, I would have got by him.
Yeah.
And but oh well, that's life.
Yeah. So you rode out the whole year with 76 with them.
And 77.
Oh, and 77. Okay. So how did the 77 season go?
It was.
Was it better? Did they make improvements to the bike?
I think I ended up. I think finished 8th in the nationals or something with that bike.
Okay.
Yeah, a little better. We had some DNFs and stuff, you know, and it didn't really have the horsepower, you know, and we were trying, but
at least it was heavy.
Yeah, I used to carry my front forks and front wheels because the brakes didn't work good and the forks didn't work good. I would take them off. My practice bike was a Yamaha. Take them back there and put them on the Harley, and then race the Harley.
You were practicing on a Yamaha?
Yeah, I was practicing. I didn't have a practice bike at the beginning.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I was when Hannah signed with Yamaha.
Okay.
You know, and I thought, hey, these bikes are pretty nice. These 76 Yamahas, you know. And then I had that practice bike, and I told Harley, I said, hey, I need better brakes. These forks don't even work, you know. And he said, all right. And I used to carry them on the airplane all the time, every week. I'd come home, bring them home to practice, then take them back with me the next week. And then after about 6 races or whatever, they decided to get a hold of Kiava and give me some forks, and then got these big old huge canisters on the top, and I'm thinking, wow, that ain't going to be good, because if I hit the bars or whatever, I'm going to have 2 black eyes, you know? But
Yeah, those did look interesting. I remember seeing those pictures.
right.
All right. So then 78 was one of your best seasons. Second overall in the 500 Nationals, 13th in 250 Supercross. What were you riding in 78?
I started out at a privateer. Actually,
What were you riding?
I was riding a Yamaha and a Suzuki. I was leading the Trans Am on a Suzuki, and the rear brake springs broke at Saddleback one year, and I was kind of pulling away, had a good lead, and I was riding for a guy named John Bassett Racing Headers for the big boats and all that. And
Out of Orange. He was out of Orange.
I remember seeing jerseys. He had a big Bassett logo.
Right on Collins in Orange.
And a really good guy. The way that was how I came to meet him was he came out to the race and says, "I'd like to sponsor you. I want to give you my phone number. Call me." I says, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." I says, "Why you want me?" He goes, "I like the way you ride. You're aggressive." I'm like, "Yeah, a little bit." I called him up and he says, "Man, come down here. We're going to talk." And go down there, and he jumps me in his truck and said, "Let's go." We went to Bates Leathers, ordered me all these leathers, everything. He goes, "I'll tell you what, everything from the day you walk out your driveway till you walk back in, keep all the receipts. I'll pay for everything." And he kind of would sponsor me and then built me a Suzuki full floater and did that. And I didn't really care for the Suzuki. I'd rather stayed on the Yamaha, but I guess we got it from the Yamaha guy named Larry Griffins. Went from Yamaha to Suzuki, and he told me, "Hey, I'll give you some bikes or whatever." And Bassett thought that was a good idea, and that's how I got some Suzukis. Then '79 was the year I was on the OW. I was riding a privateer bike. I was top privateer. I was running 4th in the points. And, I got 20 factory riders out there I'm racing against. And I'm on a production bike, driving to the races by myself and doing everything on my own. And next thing I know, Mike Bell got hurt, twisted his knee, and Yamaha says, "Hey, would you like to ride Mike Bell's bike?" I said, "Sure." I said, "All right." I had 2 races. I'm behind, I can't remember, 14 points or whatever. I thought, all right, cool. No problem. Rode it. We went to Missouri. First moto, I won, beat Rick Brigette by 1 minute and 45 seconds. Lap Marty Smith was 3rd. Came back in, told Kenny Clark, "You know what? This is cheating. These bikes are so good for what I was riding. Was junk compared to this bike."
Is that right?
Yeah. Won that race.
Just what about it? The motor,
Everything.
Everything.
And they said it was a 425 OW, but I guess I've heard it was like a 499. And it had so much torque, so it was so easy to ride. The bike only weighed like 214 pounds, and I'm used to riding a production bike at 230 and whatever,
Yeah.
And I just said, hey, And then went to St. Petersburg, won that one down there, and I missed the championship by 2 points. All right, one more race I could have been.
Who won that year?
Rick Burgett.
Burgett, okay.
And then I became second.
That was the year. Was Osterman your mechanic?
Yeah,
Okay.
I had Bill Osterman and
Dave
Dave
Osterman,
Osterman and Mike Bell's mechanic. But meanwhile, the next year, Yamaha signed me. Everything's going good. I'm like, all right.
I remember this one.
Daytona. I go to Daytona, win Daytona. I go to Pontiac. I get third in Pontiac. Ken Howerton lands on me over a jump. I'm like, uh-oh. A little between Yamaha and Suzuki had the little wars on at that time.
Okay.
I figured, all right, well, see this. I figured I'm going to whip him in New Orleans. I go to New Orleans. I'm doing some TV work for Yamaha. I get off and I break my knee, and I'm out. And then later on that year, the Nationals came. 5 races into the 500 Nationals. I was leading the point standings. 1 Rio Bravo, 1 Lake Whitney. I go home, I'm practicing, I get thrown off and broke my hip. It's just like, and then that year I think I ended up number 5 or something. But
Okay.
I always,
Jeez.
you know, I rode to the limit, and I just didn't really have that good of luck, I guess. I guess I could have calmed down, because I mean,
Well, if you're
Laporte,
winning by 1 minute and 45 seconds, yeah, you probably back her down a touch.
you know, and I remember Laporte was a tough rider back then, and I mean, I was kind of hammering him pretty heavy, and I didn't worry about him because I was in pretty good shape, and he was in good shape too, and he was a good guy to ride with and all that. And but it was between Howerton and Hannah, and there's just a little conference between all of us back then, you know, because Yamaha wanted to win, and that's when Brock got into it with Hannah and the 125s with Barnett, and
Okay.
you know.
Also, with those personalities, those are tough guys there.
Yeah.
You know, Barnett, yourself.
Howerton.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of you guys are going to be
Hannah.
congenial. It's like
Yeah.
you're going to flip the other guy off and
Right.
smash into him.
It's like a heavyweight boxing match.
yeah. So your 80 season ended early with the hip. Did they not talk to you about 81?
No, I kind of, after that, I had a deal. Kenny Clark came to me and says, hey, I want you to go to South Africa. And I thought he said South America. I wasn't really sure. you know what I mean?
Till he got on the plane.
Yeah. I'm like, after I got on the plane, I'm like, South Africa? Isn't that where all those people got their faces all painted up and all that? They got those big spears. And they go, yeah, but it's not like that when you get there. It's like L.A., big high rises and all that. And I remember him asking Hannah, and Hannah's like, I ain't going. That's bullshit, right? I'm like, all right, I'll go. And then anytime they asked me to go, I would go. That's like I did trophy donations, motocross donations for Yamaha. I did that with Harley, whatever. If I had to go somewhere out of seas, that's where I wanted to go. You know, because I never really had an opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
Got to South Africa. They treated me like gold. They were really nice people. I just like, holy mackerel, this is nice. I'm going to live over here for the rest of my life.
So you enjoyed it, huh?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I had a great time and stuff. And
Where were you based?
I was based in Durban. I was in St. Petersburg. I was in New Germany, about 20 minutes from Durban. And Durban was the coast, and that's where my sponsor was Charlie Young, Yamaha. And
That's basically where I grew up.
He's from Durban, so
okay.
yeah.
I heard of him, you know, and I thought, oh, man, when he was born, I was leaving Africa. I was coming back home, you know. And
Well, you were the champ the same year I was born.
Oh, right. Okay.
82, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny because when I first went there was a guy named Grant Maben. And
Who I'm named after.
Yeah,
Oh, is that right?
That was my dad's original hero.
right. And he was the top dog. I guess he beat everybody. Nobody could beat this guy. They bring me out to a track, and it was Syringa.
Mm-hmm.
And I did my laps and whatever, and I just heard the rumor back. It says, he's 7 seconds faster than you a lap, Grant. Grant's like, oh, man, I got some work to do, huh? And like,
What were you riding down there?
I was riding Yamaha.
Okay, so good bike.
Right, 400 YZ. Next thing I knew, I get there and I'm practicing the day of the race, and these guys kind of started ganging up on me. A guy named Charlie Tisson, Tyron Stevenson. I'm like, all right. I take off the start. Tyron Stevenson tried to take me out. I'm thinking, you messed around with the wrong boy. We come back into the arena, got this big, huge bowl. You probably remember it.
Yeah.
Tyron was like that. I came through. I just took him up over that thing, and that was into him. I never seen him again. Right?
That ball turn was there for, I mean, even when I raced early South African Nationals, that was still there.
Yeah. And I just thought, all right. And then me and Charlie Tisson, we got into it because he was like a scuffler. And I'm like, hey, I'm ready to scuffle too. Let's go. And we kind of banged each other, and I banged him. And he just, after that, we got to be good friends. And
that's a little bit the South African way, I think. But my dad said to me, though, he said, South African motocross, was just distant enough from the US and the GPs that the guys were good, but not great. But he also told me, he said, I'm telling you, man, Rex Staten changed motocross in South Africa. He goes, those guys, like you said, he came across on you. That was probably about as dirty as anyone came. But I was like, I'm telling you, man, Rex, he would have his feet off. He'd kick someone. He would downshift for them, stomp their own brake pedal. He's like, Rex taught South African motocross how to be, borderline dirty.
I kind of learned that from our other boys too, like Larry Wilsick. I mean, he was pretty dirty and stuff. And then eventually, I had a couple guys that came over there from America, and they were kind of,
because Larry went over for a while as well.
Yeah, it was Tarantino.
I was going to say, did he go around the same time as you?
Yeah, it was the same time. And those two guys were ganging up on me. Tarantino would get the start. Larry gets second. I'm a third, and I'm trying to get by Larry. And Larry kept just cutting me off. And then eventually, I just have to get rid of him. And then by that time, we only go on 5 laps. Tarantino would win or whatever, and I'm like, man, this is bullshit. I need help, and didn't really have anybody that would want to help me. I had Graham, Larry Wilsick's married to the daughter.
Graham Hill?
Graham.
Oh, Derek Graham?
Derek Graham.
Yeah.
I had him. He was my teammate, and he would try to help, but he would always crash,
He was known for that.
Right.
Derek Mad Murdoch Graham.
Yeah. But it was funny, the year I got hurt, broke my collarbone over there, one national left to go, and what happened the week before that, they tore my bike down, they DQ'd me, and they says, you was cheating. I'm like, I wasn't cheating. Yamaha makes 4 pistons. I don't know this. It's a 25% over, 50, a 75, and 1 mil. And I kept that cylinder from the first year because that was a good cylinder that I ended up porting and making it run good. I thought I'll just keep this cylinder, and I bored it out third over because it was wore out, you know. Next thing I know, they turn my bike down. They go, your bike's 252 cc's. We're taking all your points away from you. And I had a 40-point lead. And they took all my points away from me, and that puts us 0 now, me and Russell Campbell. Meanwhile, I crash. I break my collarbone. I got a national next weekend. And I'm thinking, I broke my collarbone in 3 places. I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? And Yamaha says, no, we'll get a doctor or whatever. Can you ride if you hurt? I'm like, hell yeah, I can ride if I'm hurt. I'm always hurt and I'm always riding. Next thing I know, they came in, they shot me up, filled me for something, I don't know what it was. They taped me up. For me to get my helmet on, I had to put it in the seat, put my head into the seat, and then come up and do this here. And then the track I had to race was Peter Mercksburg. Normally there was only 12 jumps a lap. This day it was 30 jumps. They added jumps after jumps after jumps. They knew I was
on purpose?
Hurt. Yeah. They wanted Russell Campbell to win. I just had to win 1 moto. I'm like, I can do it. Don't worry about it. I went out there and I gave it hell and passed Campbell and won the race and whatever. And then it was kind of funny because I had a shirt all made up. It says, Russell Campbell, or was it, sticks and stones may break my bones, but Russell Campbell can't catch me. And that prize giving, I wore it up to the announce,
Oh,
and here I'm all taped up and I'm all yellow, bruised, really bad. I was in a lot of pain, but I gave it all
I had.
Funny,
I know all those names. It's actually crazy to me to think that at one point, Americans were going to South Africa to race.
Yeah.
It changed dramatically since then, but racing was pretty big back then. I mean, that my dad, I think, was in around that time and just getting out because I came along, so I think I ruined the plans. But, all those names you talk about, I mean, there was a lot of factory support even.
Even in the internationals, we had all the Europeans that come over. Håkan Karlqvist. I mean, I raced him
Harry Everts went over.
Harry Everts. I beat him. Håkan Karlqvist, I beat him 9 motos out of 9 motos. It was funny because the first race we raced, he was on a 250 Husky. I was on a 400 because you could ride 250 or 400 or whatever. And he says, well, I'm riding a 360 next weekend because he's got more power than I got. and I even beat him worse. And then in the third race, we went to Cape Town, and he jumped back on a 250. And I ended up beating him then. That was Harry Everett's and Gardner.
Yeah.
There was a lot of all the Europeans.
Were you there when Joel Robert came down?
No.
Okay. That was a different time. Who was telling us that where he was pretending to be drunk? Was that Marty Smith or Tripes?
Roger told us that.
Was it Roger?
Roger told us that he was pretending to be drunk. Then he would walk around, and then the track marshal tried to get him out. Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't know.
Did you have a favorite track from down there?
Hammersdale or PE?
I loved Hammersdale.
Hammersdale was like a natural motocross track.
Such a badass track.
That was my home track. That's where I would practice.
Same for me, pretty much.
And it was good. But then I liked PE. I went down there and I kind of surprised the boys. I had a paddle tire.
So say PE Sandy.
Yeah. And there was a little bit of clay. I mean, a hard pack there. You had to go across a couple of little hard packs, but I just took it easy. And I really put it Tarantino that day bad. And then they outlawed it because I already knew the deal from Oakland Weiner back in the day. We were racing there at the same time. And then the next weekend, I went and put spikes in my tires for a breaker because it was hard, slippery clay. And I thought, I'll just put these ice screws in my tires, and that would kind of give me a little more traction. I just kind of did, just kind of freaking everybody out a little bit. And then Gary Peterson comes up and he goes, "Oh, man, I'm protesting you and that. Those screws will fly out and hit us in the eye." I said, "You got goggles on. What the hell are you worrying about? You ain't going to be near me anyways." I told him, And next weekend they banned that. I was always trying to pop up with something different, But I really enjoyed South Africa. I loved it. The people was great. I was going to live there for good. But when they had the party and all that, I says, "Nah, I'm a little outnumbered, 26-1. I'm out of here."
Yeah. Well, you were making good money down there, if I remember right, too,
yeah,
right?
the first year I signed it was a $150,000 contract.
Jeez.
I mean, back then, that's massive.
Yeah, it was good. And then
you were getting race win bonuses.
Right. And I was getting $1,000 a win and stuff. And it was good. And then it kind of dropped off after that.
Okay.
And it was bad because the dollar was only worth, when I left, the dollar was only worth 25 cents. And I had $100,000 in the bank saved up. I was going to bring back, South Africa wouldn't let you bring no American dollars back. I had to spend all my money before I came back to South Africa. I bought RZ 500s. I bought FJ 1100s. I bought furniture, stereos, whatever. Whatever I could buy to put in my container to ship it back. And I had my van over there, my trailer. I just left all that there. Left it with a guy named John Crooks. Brandon Crooks.
Yeah,
you probably know.
I know Brandon.
They still got my trailer, my van, everything over there. And I figure it's cheaper over here, and I could buy another one or whatever,
Wow.
They wanted $10,000 to ship that trailer.
Is that right? You also did some time in Australia?
Yeah. I was in Australia for like a year.
Was that before South Africa?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I went over there and did the Supercross over there, and then hung out up in the Gold Coast. I've been to Melbourne, race there, over to Perth, race there. And then I had some friends over there, a guy named Gib Gatkins and a guy named Andrew Bailey. And they came out and they stayed with me, and I used to tell them, get my motor home, drive my motor home to Daytona. I'm going to fly, pick me up in Houston. And meanwhile, this time we were driving the motor home and I'm sleeping. The way I used to do it, I would have a driver, I would have a passenger, and the guy would sleep. The guy that sleeps moves into the driver's seat. This guy moves this seat, and we can keep an eye on the driver.
Yeah,
and we just rotate 36 hours nonstop. I'm about a 39-mile marker in Arizona. I'm sleeping and we get rear-ended by a semi.
Oh boy.
And next thing you know, bam, and I feel this motor home, and I'm like, wow, and I look out the back window and there's no trailer. My trailer was gone. I'm thinking, what? And then Andrew's still driving. I'm like, Andrew, stop, back up. He backs up. I will run back there. This guy's long hair. He's from Arkansas. I jump
Probably
up.
worked for Walmart.
Yeah, I jump up in there. Next thing I know, I was kind of pissed. I just started beating the shit out of him right there in the steering wheel. Just bam, bam. He had long hair, hippie dude, right? I'm just banging him right. Next thing I know, he's like, hey, man, I woke up. I seen a rocket on the back of my trailer. I had a big rocket painted, like for Rocket Rex. And he says, that's what, after he hit me, he just seen that rocket and he thought he was in space or whatever. And then I had to call my mechanic out here to have him go to Bassett's house, buy me another trailer, bring me the trailer.
So where'd the trailer go? It just got blown off?
Yeah, it went off the road. What happened, hit the bumper so hard, it made the bumper into a V, sheared off the ball.
Oh.
And trailer, lucky, it wasn't no downhills. It just went right out. I had 110 gallons of fuel in that trailer with my 3 bikes. It just kind of smashed the whole back of the trailer in and all that.
But the bikes and all that were good, right?
Yeah, everything was good. It's just everything was all nice and organized. And then after I got my new trailer, I had to have everything on the floor, go to Daytona, everything scattered on the floor, and it wasn't very nice.
That's funny. I got to ask you this. So Dave Osterman told me to ask you that year, it must have been 1980 when he was wrenching for you, as my guess. He said you tossed one of those factory Yamahas off a cliff up in Phelan. You remember anything about that?
Yeah, there's a big hill climb. It's called Phelan Hill Climb.
Yeah.
It's a big uphill. Everybody, when it rains, they can make it, but normally you can't make it. It's pretty hard, but you can make it. But I would come down it really hooking down to the bottom, and then the other side, it's got a car track that goes right up to the top. I thought it was probably a trail. I just had my works bike, and I kind of went, rah, holy shit, it's a canyon.
Yeah.
Bushes and everything, and I just went about 30, 40 feet midair, and I just kind of jumped off the bike. The bike landed in a big old greasewood bush, and then my dad was with us, but boy, he was pissed.
I did something similar.
Dave was pissed? Or
no, my dad was, because we had to get about 20 tie downs and then try to drag that up. You couldn't ride down through there because there was a big canyon.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know what I was thinking. I just thought it was just going to be a trail. There's a 2-car trail going up to it. I didn't know they stopped. Yeah. And just I'm like, not very smart.
But so you guys linked together tie downs,
and we drug it up the hill.
Oh,
that was that was one of my works bikes that they gave to me for a practice bike that year.
Jeez, that's funny. Yeah, so, Dave-O said that was really a funny story.
Actually, a buddy from South Africa, you remember Glenn Tantum? He said, ask Rex if the rumor was true about if you went down with another rider that you would just go and yank his throttle cable out of the housing so they couldn't finish the moto.
I've done that. You know, and then it's funny because when I jerk that out of there, I think 6 wide open because it stretches it there. The bike's going, you know, and it's just like, I wouldn't do that to somebody if we were just going, but this guy actually kind of took me out for no reason, and I was kind of pissed. And I can't. I'm trying to think. I know me and Matt Tedder got into it back in the days when he was on a Honda, and I don't know if I grabbed his and did that to him too or whatever. But I thought, you can take me out, whatever. Here, I'll fix you. You know. But
I think there was also a little bit like when you came over, when a couple other Americans came. You got to imagine it hurts their pride when the South Africans are getting stomped. So I think, like you said, you get this us against them mentality. Like you said, guys were after you. Like they didn't want to get beat. They wanted to send a message, but probably did the wrong guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was actually the wrong guy. You don't want to piss me off. I know that.
All right, so 81. I'm trying to go through this a little chronologically a little bit here. So 81, you run a Harley Davidson still, right? Or is that wrong?
No. Was in 80 I was on Yamaha, and then 81 I was on actually Yamaha all the way up until about 85. And then I kind of quit in South Africa, and I came back. And then I went to, I was at a CMC race. Eddie Lawson had a 490 Yamaha, and he says to me, hey, I got this bike, you want to ride in the vet class? A vet class? What's the vet class? There go guys that ride over 30 years old. And I says, those old guys? Meanwhile, I'm 30-something, right?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I'll do that. I got on that bike and ended up winning my vet race. And it was like, I said, all right, now I need to buy some bikes. And then I ended up buying a 250 and another 490. And then I started riding the vet class and doing that. And then Honda came out with the contingencies. It was pretty good. I think it was in 89.
Yeah.
I mean, I did that series of Golden State. I made $36,000 just in contingency. They were paying Honda bucks.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But after I won all that money, the next year they wouldn't do that. They want to give you prizes. I'm like, hey man, I want the money. I don't want the prizes, you know.
That was kind of the start of the heyday of contingency money. I don't know where it's at now, but even when I was a kid in like 90, 91, man, you could make good money. Suzuki bucks. I was riding Suzuki back then, and we were just using it to buy all our parts and bikes. But the pro guys were making cash, or
Yeah, Honda
check
we
your cards.
could, but not after the first year. And then it was this. Then they wanted you to have one bike for each class. I mean, because
Yeah, I remember
Now,
that.
did they give the bikes, or was
Well,
the contingency to entice you to go buy their product, and if you got the results, that's how you got compensated?
yeah, that's how
Yeah.
it was. You had to have that. You had to buy their bikes.
Okay. That was one thing I wasn't sure, and someone asked me, I'm like, I don't know if they got the bike, but I think that was the whole point, was to get that brand loyalty.
It didn't matter if you were Jeff Matasevich or whatever, and you're getting Cowies and you went and won a Golden State, you still got the money.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
But the idea was to encourage people to buy your brand and then go out and race it to make money.
And if you get the results, you'll get compensated for it,
That's it.
rather than reading
Yeah,
a
but
resume, what I'm going to do this year for you.
Suzuki was the one that back in those days was really, they had huge contingency.
Yep.
It was really them more than
Yeah.
anybody else.
Yeah, Honda kind of started it, and then it was Suzuki really came in heavy, and that's when you had Ron Turner riding 3 classes: 125, 250, 500, and doing all that.
Yeah.
Chris Young
Young.
made
Chris
a
Young.
ton of money on
Yeah.
Suzuki bucks.
He was kind of doing the same thing you did. He'd show up and race every class he could possibly
Yep.
race. Do you remember Chris Young?
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess must have a year wrong. What year did you go and do that Evel Knievel Snake River Canyon
That
race?
was 74 on a Honda. The Honda built me that 4-stroke. It was a XL 350 punched out to a 410.
Okay.
Mike Bell's dad's the one I guess built it. He used to work for Long Beach Honda.
Okay.
He built the motor. C&J built the frame. Honda kind of put it all together and stuff, and they said, hey, we'd like to have you ride this thing. And I'm like, all right. And I mean, I liked it because I liked the sound of it. It was a full megaphone, whatever. And they took me, first race was up at Snake River. And I was down on power because I had a karts maker riding a 500 Yamaha 2-stroke and all that. And that thing was really like a 125 at speed-wise. And but it was so wet and slippery that Honda worked pretty good. It was like I had traction. Everybody was like thought I was riding on their tail. Like Irish, they would come in and tell me, "Hey, I hate you. I hate that noise of that bike. I swear you're right behind me. Meanwhile, you're half a lap ahead of us, But
Didn't Tripes win that race, or was that a
he
different
won
year?
the Can-Am on the 250s.
Okay.
And then I got second, Peter Karts Maker on the open class.
Okay.
And then they had a jump contest. Kenny Zart beat me by about a foot on the jump contest.
Distance? It
Yeah.
was just, oh, yeah.
We just had it was a cliff. We just went rah and then jumped out so far. And he did it in his tennis shoes and Levi's.
Oh,
Kenny, he's just like whatever. Meanwhile, then they had a wheelie contest. I won that for the distance. But then what they wanted to do was from this point to this point, they wanted to see how slow you could go wheeling.
Okay.
And Arlo England won that. He could just go boom and drag the rear fender. And I couldn't really do that, because I didn't control. I just pick it up and just go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more my style.
Right.
I can't do those. Can you
No,
slow wheelie?
No, I can't do it.
Oh, some guys are so good at it, and I've
Oh.
tried, and I've just given up.
Yeah.
too old for that
I
now.
know.
So did your check cash from that race? There was some,
Yeah.
We were told by Tripes that
So you got to the bank pretty quickly.
if you didn't cash that check quick, he was shutting them off.
No, it took me a couple of days to get home because I drove to Idaho all by myself,
Okay.
and then Honda had the bike and stuff. I drove home and then I cashed it. I never had a problem.
No issues? Okay.
You probably drained the last amount.
That's right.
Everyone after you was screwed.
Right.
What was the worst injury you ever had?
I was probably out practicing '96. I was up. I took some people riding with me, and we were up in the mountains up there behind Big Bear. And I was flying down through this trail, and I kind of was going a little too fast, and I went off the trail. And there was some high grass. Somebody cut a stump off. I didn't see it. I caught it with a foot peg at about 45 miles an hour, and the bike just kind of flipped me like this, and I went flying, and I landed on this shoulder. I broke this shoulder, this collarbone, 4 ribs. 2 ribs went through my lungs, pulled 2 ribs off the spine of my back. And I got a guy pulled up next to me and goes, "You all right?" I'm like, I didn't have no air. I couldn't
talk,
breathe,
yeah.
right? And then after it was all said and done, I said, I don't know if I could ride back. I'm hurting pretty bad. I says, you have to get a truck to come up and get me. And then I kind of walked out to a road, and then I got a truck. But that truck It hit those little
Oh,
bumps.
no.
Oh, it was hell. And then I got home and I just bought a house at Dead Man's Point.
Where's Dead Man's Point?
Dead Man's Point is right there on the way to Johnson Valley where they have the big hammer races and all that.
Gotcha,
It's
okay.
right there, corner of Bear Valley.
Lucerne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I got up to my house and I told my wife, just kind of give me a mattress, let me lay here. Let me lay like this for 3 days, I'll be fine. I laid there all that night. The next day, about noon, I was in so much pain. And I told my stepdaughter, I says, Crystal, you gotta take me to the hospital, I'm bad.
Were you having trouble breathing?
Yeah, I was at everything. I was in pain.
Yeah.
And I was my lungs were all full of fluid and everything.
Huh. You probably punctured a lung.
I did two holes in my lung. And doctor says to me after I got there, why didn't you come in sooner? I just figured I was bruised up a little bit. I didn't realize I'm that bad. Put me in intensive care. 3 days I was out. I didn't know anything. I remember trying to slide stuff under me to x-ray me, and I'm just like, no, I'm hurting. You know, and that was probably the worst one I had.
That was rough, huh?
Yeah.
No back injuries, neck injuries, anything major, though? Like that?
No, not really. But, I mean, my chiropractor told me, I don't even know how you walk, to be honest with you. Right there, you know how your back comes down, it sits on your pelvis?
Uh-huh.
I'm like what football players got. You've been hit really hard. It kind of starts to slide off your pelvis. And that's what I have. I have it right at the edge, kind of. And he says, you know, if you ain't careful, you can be paralyzed or whatever. And when I was in South Africa, I was kind of starting to think, I don't want to get hurt, you know. And then it kind of went away after I got back home and stuff like that. I didn't think about it. But, yeah, no, my lower back bothers me a little bit.
Does it still?
Yeah.
But there's nothing. It's just worn out.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, we kind of.
I'm
You
all
got
over it. I got
artificial knee, artificial hip.
Yep, and I need another hip. And fake nose. I don't have a nose. My nose is all fake. Guy hit me in the face with a crescent wrench.
All right, let's tell that story because I've heard this story too. What happened with the crescent wrench?
What happened was I was at Saddleback Park. I'm on a Mako 72, and I'm racing. And I'm trying to pass this guy named Greg Witherall. And I'm lapping the guy. I'm ahead of Jim West. I got 45 seconds on him. I'm just still going. I try to pass this guy. Come in underneath him. He tries to take me out. I'm thinking, wrong thing to do, buddy. I just kind of wait. I come back in. I come underneath him. I come and give him the elbow, and I waved him like, you number one. You know? And next thing I know, as I finished the race, I was waiting for Jim West before you drop down into the pits for your trucks and stuff. You wait and say, hey, good race, Jim, you know, whatever. And I turned around, shook his hand. And as soon as I was turned around, I didn't even see the guy. He hit me with an 18-inch crescent wrench right in the nose. And
it was the rider?
No, it was his brother. His brother was on kind of drugs at the time and figured, you ain't going to do that to my brother, you son of whatever, you know, because I was winning everything. And when you win everything, people kind of don't like you.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I always said I moved to South Africa. The first year they loved me. Second year they liked me. The third year is like, get the hell out of here. You know what I mean?
You wore out your welcome.
But yeah, no, there's nothing there. You can hit me in the nose. Yeah, I can't feel nothing. Give me your thumb. Push.
I don't know if I want to.
But there ain't nothing there.
Oh,
you know.
gross.
Wow, you wouldn't know it. It looks good.
Yeah.
Looks
it's
like
good for fighting. The guy hits you, and you just like, "Oh, you ready now?" The guy runs. Yeah.
It just bounces back.
it's just a rubber ball out there.
But that was an incident too. When that.
So
happened.
did you ever go? Like, what did it knock you out?
No, didn't knock me out.
What'd you do? Did you
what
not?
happened? I went and parked my bike at my truck, and Harry Clem was my mechanic. And I remember I just parked it, and I said, I'm going to go and kick somebody's ass. Right? I went to go take off, and Harry Clem, he looked at me and went, and he fainted. And he fell, and I'm like, what the hell? And I looked, and I'm like, holy mackerel. Next thing you know, a bunch of people ran to me, and they had a towel and said, Holiday Inn, and had a bunch of ice. Put your head in this. I put my head in this. I remember sitting down by the ambulance, and some girl took my head and moved it back and goes, you're going to the hospital right now. And because I was laid wide open. And I said, all right. And I got in the ambulance, and I blacked out until I got halfway down to Chapman Avenue to the hospital, and I woke up. And they took me inside the hospital and stuff, and then they put me on a bed and whatever, and the doctor came in, talked to me, whatever, and I go, can I see what I look like? No, you don't want to see. I'm like, oh, okay. He got up and he left. I jumped up and I looked in the mirror and went, holy shit. My whole face is completely swollen, like I have no nose, nothing. I'm just split wide open, there's blood like everywhere. Next thing I know,
Hey, put your mouthpiece back a little bit. There you go. So
He came in and he decided he was going to do work on me. He had these aluminum plugs about big around as my little finger, and he stuck it up my nose and he started shoving on it, and it hurt me. And I swung and I hit that doctor right in the kidneys, right? Next thing I heard him hit the ground and he was gasping for air. I'm thinking, he leaves the room, he comes back, they got leather straps.
Oh, no.
They about 4 inches wide, my ankles, my waist, my arms. And then he went to work on me. He took those plugs and he just went, and I yelled and screamed every dirty word there was to scream. You know,
Why wouldn't they give you some pain meds or something at that point?
I don't know. I guess I pissed him off, and he figured this guy can suffer now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then I went to court on it. His dad walked up to me and says, "Hey, you better get out of the country, boy. You better take a boat." And I'm like, "Well, you threatened me?" And then I went and told the district attorney.
Who threatened you?
His dad.
The rider's
Yeah,
dad?
the writer's dad. And that was it. They just gave him 120 days in jail, a misdemeanor, and that was it. But it was the day of the race when it all happened. He went and loaded his bike in back of a Datsun pickup, and all my buddies and spectators and all that, they ran over and took his truck and flipped it upside down with that Mako on the back of it.
Is that right?
Yeah. You know, and lucky my dad wasn't there, because my dad
Your dad would have killed him.
Yeah, he would have been dead. But my sister was there. My sister went at him. He was wanting to hit my sister with the crescent wrench. He's that much of a coward. But eventually he went to jail, took drugs, and died.
Yeah.
You know, what comes around goes around.
That's a self-licking ice cream cone right there. So we call that. Okay, so I got to ask you another. I heard. Oh, we'll get to that. Actually, I don't want to jump ahead. Did you ever knock any teeth out?
Yeah.
You were an open face guy, man, for a long time.
Yeah. Actually, Daytona 76, I passed Pierre Karts maker, hit some doubles, turned around, looked back at him, and missed. Hit the jump, caught the handlebars right here. That's why I had that big scar right there.
Yeah.
Sheared those teeth off right there. Those teeth are all fake. Meanwhile, got a race that day, right? I come back in, teeth are off, mouth bleeding. I got big blood clots in my mouth. They go, you need to go to the hospital and be sewed up. I said, no, just give me some duct tape. Got some duct tape, put a little white pad here, duct taped it all up and stuff. And then I raced. After the race, I was in the race while I was racing with the Harley. I kept feeling these big blood clots, and I would spit it out, and my whole jersey was like blood, like somebody murdered me or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And I just, no big deal. You know, I waited till I got home before I went to the doctor and had it sewed up.
Just duct tape. That
Duct
works.
tape. That's it.
It works.
There's pictures of me. Might be in that book you got of me. There's a picture of me there, all taped up.
Yeah,
and
that'd be it.
Well, even it's like the picture you did for the Instagram. He's all open face, just looks burly.
Oh, it's just. I mean, yeah. You in one of these pictures we found, you're not even wearing goggles. It's just you
kind of
just
like
gotta,
Magoo.
Yeah.
You know,
it was a tough, cool look, but boy, you had to be tough because you were taking some rocks and handlebars to the face.
It started off with no gloves and all that. I mean, I hated gloves and the whole 9 yards.
It's funny how you hear a lot of the older riders talking about that they hated gloves. That was
the gloves back then.
Well, they also sucked. Yeah,
they were like, I don't know, big mitts, like oven mitts. They were terrible.
They were
restricted everything.
The good ones were the ones from Sweden. They had that little black rubber around them. I think Torsten Hallman made them. Back in the day.
Yeah,
the original Thor.
Yeah. And what about your riding style? Who kind of taught you? Because I feel like your riding style was really technically good and maybe even a little bit ahead of its time. Who were you trying to? Who was helping you with like coaching on your riding, or was anybody?
No, nobody was. What I would do when I would go practice, I would practice by myself. And when I would go out to practice, I'm thinking I'm out there practicing with Roger. Okay, Roger's behind me. I'm going. I'm riding. I make a mistake. Oh man, he just passed me. I'm imagining all this as I'm racing and practicing. I would go out and ride for hour motos at a time, and I would do it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the hottest part of the day, because I would get up in the morning. I would train, run my 6 miles, swim for 2 hours, and then get my bikes ready. And I had a couple of bikes, and I would go out and ride. Gas was completely out, full tank of gas, and it would be up in.
That's still more than most guys are doing today.
And. That's what I did. I just I just rode, and I wasn't a natural. I had to work at it. It was hard, But like Marty Tripes, he's a natural. He can just get on or whatever. My balance wasn't really that good. You know, I had to really work at it hard, and I just rode a lot. And I think from riding so much,
Yeah.
it just
Got proficient.
Yeah.
So that your style though just was your own developed
Yeah.
technique and stuff.
Just hang
were
on.
Were you trying to watch other guys and go, okay, he's doing this, maybe I'll pick that up?
No,
Or
I knew my dad always told me, stand up that way, use your legs as shock absorbers or whatever, you know. And because I didn't really like sitting down that much, but I didn't stand up like Marty did. Marty stood up all the time, and he was really good at it, you know, back in the day when he was 16 years old. And then I would try to practice, you know, kind of standing up and just hanging on. That was about it, you know.
All right. And then was there any racers as you got to where you were racing at that high level? Were there any racers then that you were kind of looking up to or watching and trying to copy as far as style? Or not really? They were all the enemy at that point.
I was going to say,
they were all
it
basic.
escalated quickly for you, and then you were racing the Europeans and everyone. It's
Right. It was just, I mean, yeah, no, it's like I said, Heike McCullough was my idol, and then when I beat him at Carlsbad in '75, it was like, no more idol. I'm my own idol now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's funny. You had over 2,000 professional wins.
Yeah, that's my whole career. That's for 30 years. That's from desert racing. There's speedway racing in there. There's motocross, supercross. I won the Baja 500. I won the Baja 1000. I won the San Felipe 250. I Ironman that. Races all in South Africa. Races in Australia. I mean, there was a lot of
Did you ever
races.
go to Europe and do any GPs?
No, I didn't get a chance. I just did the Trophy to Nations and Motocross to Nations. I wanted to, but
in which countries did you do?
I did Belgium and Switzerland and Germany and Holland. You know,
How were those experiences over there?
that was good. I mean, I like that. You know, and all the people, and they put you in these little cages, kind of. You know, the U.S. team and the Belgium team, and you know how all that goes and stuff. But that was good. And the Russian girls would come up and talk to you through the fence, and you know what I mean. You're like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But no, it was good.
Did you ride in any sand over there? In
In Holland I did.
Was that an
With the
eye opener?
Harley. Yeah, it was good. It was rough. It was tough. I was on the Harley. I wish I would have been on a little better bike at the time, but that was good. I remember a couple guys crashing big time. They were just like screaming when they crashed. They just I don't know if they were hurt or what, but I can remember hearing them, ah! You know, and I'm like, oh my God, you know.
Huh. That's weird. What would you say are some of your proudest moments as far as your racing accomplishments? Daytona's got to be...
Yeah, that would probably, that and Carlsbad GP on that CZ.
Yeah.
You know, everybody made fun of my bike the other day at Riders meeting. It was 247 pounds. And they all like, hey, you'll be lucky to even get it off the gate. And I said, don't worry, I'll be there. Because when I hit you with this big baby, you'll know
it's coming. The freight train is coming.
That's right. And that was a good one.
And that was what, year? 75?
75.
And you won that 500 class.
No, I ended up leading it for up to like 3 laps from the end. And then another one was...
Who won that?
Garrett Wilsink.
Okay.
You know, and then Roger always had a hard time. He can never really win that. He always ended up second or third or whatever. But then the other one probably LA Coliseum, first big race. I mean, I rode Coliseum in '73. I think I was third or fourth on the Mako in the 500 class.
Okay.
And it was '74. That was a good one. And then kind of Hangtown, just everybody told me this Mike Hartwig guy, he was a sand specialist out of Michigan, and nobody could beat him in the sand. And I just said, I'll beat him. I ain't worry about it. And then actually, I think it was just me and Weiner or whatever, and we just kind of left him. He had a little bit of back problems, I guess. He was injured.
Okay.
But he was good back in his day. He was on a Husky.
Yeah.
All those guys actually was good, you know, back in the days and stuff. It was tough. You know, and I mean, like I said, there was 20 factory bikes that I was racing, and it was
a cool era. You know, the more we've gotten to learn from the riders around especially in the 70s, because in the 80s, I think bikes started getting a little equal. You know, like the gaps. But in the era around you guys, I mean, you guys, there were guys chopping and cutting and welding and grinding and changing. And every year someone came out with a new bike, and that was the bike to be on that brand. And then it,
you're right.
He showed us a picture of this Harley. It reminded me of Tripe's story with the Honda, but like it was a Harley, and he said the thing wouldn't turn far enough. The fork tubes would hit the tank. So they just took a hammer and beat the tank in on both sides so that the thing would turn in.
And then took all the little stops where it would turn all the way,
Yeah. That's funny. I used to think the same thing with the KTMs because they would put those little bolts so that it wouldn't turn far enough. And if I was in a tight corner, I'm up against the stop. I hated that. I'd pull the screws out, Even the fork would even hit the radiator a little bit, but I'm like, at least I can turn it. All right, we're going to take a quick break. This is your Trolley Designs Timeout. We're going to be right back with more Rex Staten.
At Nihilo Concepts, we have a passion for innovation and for motocross. Our mission is to develop parts that will improve the durability, functionality, and the appearance of your motorcycle. We're proud to say that everything from Nihilo is made in the USA in our state-of-the-art manufacturing facility in Stuart, Florida. Whether you race every weekend or you just ride for fun, Nihilo offers high-quality, innovative parts that you just won't find anywhere else. Nihilo offers custom engraved engine covers, one-piece titanium foot pegs, brake tips, internal engine components, specialty tools, frame grip tape, carbon fiber components, and so much more. Check out our website, nihiloconcepts.com, and see for yourself why teams like Red Bull KTM, Rockstar Husqvarna, Troy Lee Designs, and some of the fastest riders in the world choose Nihilo Concepts. nihiloconcepts.com.
See the sunrise, I wake up in the morning feeling so nice. I burn a couple bowls of the alright. I look out to the world and it's all mine, yeah, it's all mine. I see palm trees and joints, kids smoke palm trees like ointment. My weed breath is fresh cause I keep my appointments. Now I can finally see, like I smoke some DMT. What you think we should sound like, what you think we do at night. Cause we the best of this shit, we made a mess of this shit. We wrecked the rest of all the wester with the recklessness. If you's a bitch, you might get snatched up like some necklaces. This where the rest of us live. You say we feel like the West Coast. I say we sound like the best of. You say we feel like the West Coast.
All right, we're coming back to a new segment here. This is OGIO's What's in the Bag segment, and it's just as it sounds. There's something in the bag for our guests, and they're going to reach in and get it. It's going to change each week to week. This is the Rig T3 OGIO gear bag. If you haven't seen these things, get on their website and check it out under the Power Sports tab there. Every little spot for your helmet. It's got bags for boots, goggles. This thing lines you all out, all in one bag. It's on rollers. It's got a hard back. This thing is the Cadillac of gear bags. Rex, we got a little present in there, so go ahead and reach in and figure out what's in the bag here.
Hey, you're like Monty Hall from Let's Make a Deal.
Yeah, let's make a deal. Oh, he's got a little fire department coffee mug. That's what that is. I imagine a guy like you drinks some coffee, right? Black?
Nope, never have.
Are you kidding me?
Nope.
Well, all right, you can give it to a friend. Got you a Whiskey Throttle Show t-shirt.
You don't give that to a friend.
No, that's for you.
That's for me. All right.
And we should have a bag of coffee in there for you, too.
All right.
That's extra
I guess
caffeine.
I might have to try it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. They're a big sponsor of the show. We appreciate them. Check out OGIO's full line of bags, gear bags, travel bags, roller bags, backpacks, you name it. They got it all. And also, that was your timeout, brought to you by Troy Lee Design. So go over and check out their new GP helmet, all the safety features and performance of the SE4 in a much more affordable package. So get over and check those out. You'll be stunned at just how affordably you can get into one of those, and all of the cool designs of Troy Lee Designs, all the fit, function, and everything else with the safety, just not the big price tag. So check that out. Okay, let's jump back into some other stuff. I got more stories here. Lots of stories I need you to clear up for me. I heard a rumor that at Corona Raceway one night, you were killing everybody, and you stopped and put your girlfriend on the back of your bike and did your last lap with your girlfriend on the back of your bike.
Yeah, I did. She was always like in hot pants and those big go-go boots all the way up to your knees, and I had a pretty big lead, and I would stop and pick her up and give her a ride all the way around the track, up the hills, down the hills, back into the infield, and still win, and that was with no helmet. You sure couldn't do that today.
No, you'd get in trouble.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Hey, and also, Corona, like I raced Corona back in the day, you could not, there was one light at the top of Corona, you could not see in the back literally at all. Like, you'd go through there and it was completely dark, shadows until you dropped back. Right, Rex?
Yeah, it was like little light bulbs, 100-watt light bulbs.
It was so bad, it was like crazy. And you jumped out of this, like there was like a oval track, and they just made like a dirt jump to jump over the wall, and then you went up into the hill, and then you came back down and you jumped back off the wall, and it was...
You're jumping off the wall with your girl on the back?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
And going up the hill, and there was a steep hill. I mean, downhill there. It was pretty steep.
And she was up for it, though, no problem.
Yeah, no, she just wrapped her legs around my belly, and let's go, baby.
All right. I got another story that I heard. This might be just lore, but I heard that you were at a construction site and some dude showed up and said you messed around with his girlfriend or something, and you came down and got in a fist fight with this guy? Does that ring bells or no?
No, I don't remember that one.
But it could have happened. Hell,
it could have.
Don't ever let facts get in the way of a good story. All right, what about this? You had a wheelie contest with Evel Knievel.
Yeah, they had that Evel Knievel's race in 1974. Evel Knievel put on, and he was going to have a wheelie contest who could do the whole length of that straightaway. And he was on a big Triumph, I think it was, and he wheelied. And I probably felt sorry for the guy trying to ride that 300-pound bike and doing a wheelie.
Yeah.
But then I was on that Honda of mine, and I just wheelied and passed him and actually won it. But then what they wanted to do was from a point A to point B, they wanted to know how slow you could go. And a guy named Arlo England, he actually could go real slow. I could go the distance and no problem and win, but if I had to go real slow, I couldn't do that.
Gotcha. All right. And then was it that race or another one where the pits caught on fire? You said it was there.
It was
it
Utah.
Parachuters came down.
Evel Knievel put on a race up in Provo, Utah, and it was a national. And in intermission, they had parachute guys jump out of the parachute, and they had their flares and whatever. And where all the cars were parked and spectators and everything, it was all kind of a dry field. Next thing you know, it started on fire, and cars were burning. I bet you they probably burned 20, 30 cars.
Oh, my gosh. And you were there racing that day?
Yeah, I was racing that day.
What was everybody doing?
Running around trying to put a fire out.
Did you guys all grab a hose?
No, we couldn't do nothing. They just had the fire department come eventually and put it out and stuff. And
water trucks, nothing?
Yeah,
they weren't trying to...
No, it was just fire department.
Yeah. Wow. 20 or 30 cars, huh?
It took
it wasn't good.
Can you say lawsuits?
Yeah, jeez. Okay, now what about more story time? Carlsbad USGP. Was there like a German rider that you got in a fight with, or was that the...
That was Scotland. He's from Scotland.
Oh, that's the guy we were talking about earlier. Okay.
Vic Allen.
That was Vic Allen. Okay. Somebody said there was some German guy you got in a
He'd
fight
fight all the time. Just sometimes.
All right. Who are your toughest competitors?
I would say probably it was Roger. All those Europeans, they were all tough. And American guys, there was Hannah. And Hannah basically kind of rode 250. I mostly rode 500s. And we had probably, there's a lot of guys if they rode 500s, but most of the guys like Brock, they rode 125s. Han rode 250s. 500, ours it was pretty good. And Mosier, and there was some guys that, our American guys were pretty good.
Okay. Was there one guy, if you got into it, you say you guys got into it a lot, who would that be? Where you just seemed like you always found each other on the track?
I don't know. It's probably just me.
Whoever got in your way, that's
Yeah.
who you were hitting?
I just whatever I had to do, I did.
When you came back from South Africa, you got into off-road racing. You mentioned you won the Baja 500, the Baja 1000. Tell us about that time. You were riding Cowie 500s at the time?
Yeah, it was about 93, actually.
So I want to say you were working with Pro Circuit. They were helping you for a while there, right?
They were. No, I was kind of. Mitch wanted to kind of help me, basically, because he'd been trying to beat me for a lot of years and stuff. He would bring guys out to the tracks to try to beat me, and I would make sure I kind of gave him a little spanking and stuff. And he just said, "Yeah, you're a tough dude," but that's all I gotta say. I mean, but I would say, yeah, I don't know. I just 93. A guy came to me from Arizona and says, "Hey, would you ride the 1000 with us?" We got 4 guys. I think it was a guy named Dan Worley, Earl Roberts, myself, somebody else. I said, "Yeah, I'll do it." And they go, "Would you go down pre-run and do all that?" I go, "Yeah, you got a bike?" And he goes, "No." I said, "Oh, I got a bike. I can take my bike and just pre-run." I said, "What are we going to be riding?" He goes, "A KX 500. I said, "All right." I went down, did my section, and I was going to do it at the start. I was going to get into the lead for everybody, and then we were going to go all the way to La Paz. And it was 186 miles, and I came off the grid at 86, and I was like 86 minutes behind everybody. And there was a section down to going to San Felipe there. It must have been, I would say, at least 10 miles with nothing but whoops. I mean, it's just for hours, it seems like. And I got down there, and I was going through the whoops and just going. And I mean, I was passing a lot of people. And the time I got off the bike, we were 3rd overall, 1st in class. That was at 186 miles. And I gave the bike to my other teammate guys and says, "There you go. I'll see you guys later. I'm gone." You know, but usually I would do the start or I would do the finish if we had to make up some time or whatever. I would always do that, but I always try to pay attention on the start that way because there's a lot of accidents that happen. You got people coming the wrong way and stuff like that.
You got to be aggressive and not scared to pin it through dust and through traffic and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Yeah,
real scary.
Was that a little sketchier for you than moto?
Yeah, because I was usually the motocross. You had something to see.
Yeah.
You could see. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really see. It's just. And we always say
certain element.
I don't know if it's got to have big balls or you just have no brains, but
bit of both.
Maybe
I think.
both.
Yeah. It's a nice blend.
So, and weren't you making maybe some of your own parts? Like you had.
Yeah, I was doing some different things on the Kawasaki. I'm making some special chain tensioner guides. That way, they were made out of stainless.
Was this from the Baja, from doing Baja, where you went, okay, we need to fix this, modify that?
Right, like shark fins and stuff for the disc and that kind of stuff, you know, and the bigger mounts for the brake, foot pegs, because foot pegs would like start sagging.
Oh, yeah.
And the exhaust pipe bracket, we would make a special bracket for that, you know, because that Baja is pretty tough on everything.
Yeah. Yeah, really tough.
My dad and I, we've worked on rebuilt. We're on our 3rd KX 500, and just what you mentioned made me laugh. Every one of them, the foot pegs are just loose and jalopy, and they sag down.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to get it all back because it's just everything's blown out.
Yeah, you almost have to re-weld it, weld the hole shut, weld everything out,
and then re-drill. Yeah.
And then on the left side, you got a whole bracket. We just made a whole brand new bracket, heavy duty bracket there, and ended up putting that on there with the 2 bolts.
Yeah,
that's the way to do it. Okay, so that off-road stuff, was that as enjoyable for you as moto, or was it just sort of like something to do?
What was the best part about it was it was only 12 miles from my house out in Johnson Valley, and I lived right there in the high desert. And I just thought, you know what? I'm kind of done racing basic motocross and stuff, and I could probably do my little shop, Rocket Rex Racing. I do shocks, I do forks, I do motors and stuff like that. And I had guys that would bring their bikes to me and then leave their bikes all week, and then they would pick them up on the way to the desert race.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
You know, and it was like real handy for them. they just done racing. I'd take them, I'd clean them, I'd get them all ready, prepped, ready to go for the next weekend. And if we were Red Mountain or whatever, I would just take my trailer and take them out to them or whatever. And I had everything in my trailer. I had wire welders and everything I could put on, stabilizers, whatever the guys want. And I carried the fuel and had parts, a big parts trailer, and sold parts, and did okay. And it was a good deal.
How did you become sort of technically minded? Did your dad help you with that, or was that just trial and error?
Yeah, I got kind of left to myself. I had to kind of make sure how to fix things and stuff like that. And my dad kind of, when I turned pro and kind of stepped back a little bit, he just stepped back and watched, and I was kind of on my own, and I wanted to know how the shocks work and how the suspension worked and all that, and I just actually got into that and started revalving and making pistons and doing all that kind of stuff, trying different things. And
did you say making pistons?
Yeah, a machine, a regular piston with bigger holes in them and stuff like that, because they had little tiny holes. The K-Albas had little holes, and I ended up making ones with big slots in them and a lot more compression holes and rebound holes. And I always found out on my shocks, I didn't want no compression in the shock. I just wanted to run the spring and the rebound. When I blast through the bumps, I wanted just the thing just to go right through the bumps. I didn't want something to slow me up where I could just pin it and just go bam, 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 bam. And then I would have the spring do me my weight and stuff, and then I would have the rebound where I could slow it down where it didn't want to be a pogo stroke. And that's where I found out it worked the best. Almost get rid of all the compression and just run a rebound and
nice and soft and plush, huh?
Yeah, and I always way soft. I mean, guys would run 4.2s in the front, and I was running 3.9s. And then I would just extend them a little bit with a little spacer or whatever, just to make sure they sit up, they didn't sag.
Yeah.
Because I hate going through a corner and it's like your brain seems like it's rattling inside your helmet. I hated that. I just wanted to make sure I could suck all that up.
Yeah,
it made a big difference.
So, what got you out of racing? Your stepson got hurt at one point, right?
Yeah, what happened was he wanted to race, but he didn't want to train or anything like that. He was born in South Africa, and I just told him, I says, hey, you know what? He said, Dad, I want to be like you. I said, Bryce, this is a tough sport. I don't want to tell you, but you're kind of a mama's boy. You got to be.
Don't hold back on the truth or anything.
That's right.
He could have said a lot worse.
I says, you actually got to be a badass guy, okay? I'm going to tell you, you got to train. It's hard work. I said I used to run 6 miles every day. I would swim for 2 hours. I'd go out, ride 4 motos, full tank of gas, and then I would come back. And it's not going to go and think you can just do this and go out and be the hero or whatever. It's just like you don't get nothing for nothing. It's how much effort and how much work you want to put into it. Anybody can become almost world champion or a good champion. It's like how much dedication you're going to really put into it. It costs money. You got to have the money. But if you work hard enough and you train hard enough, somebody will come out and they will help you. Yeah. And you can do it that way. But, these guys that think they got a silver platter to them and whatever, I always notice the guys that really got the talent, they don't have the balls to train hard enough to do this. Guys that that really want to do this, train their ass off and really work hard. And that's what you got to do if you want to become champion. Yeah. It's not an easy game.
No, it's not. We've definitely seen that.
Sometimes being too talented can be a curse, I think, for a lot of riders.
And
I'm sure for athletes in general.
Yeah.
But
if it comes easy to you, you don't need to work hard, right? You just...
Right. And then when things get tough, it's a lot more likely for them to maybe throw in the towel and not be able to dig deep.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So what happened to your stepson then? What was the accident?
What happened, he was riding out there and got thrown off and he landed on his head. He was hemorrhaging 3 places, center of the brain, split his liver in half, split his kidney in half. He was unconscious when I got to him. They came to me and said, Bryce crashed. He's out there. He's out cold.
Is this a desert race?
No, this is out by my house, Dead Man's Point racetrack. And he got to me, and I went out there, running out there, I think, and I already called the fire department. They were on their way. I went out there, and he wasn't moving. He wasn't breathing, nothing. I'm like, oh, no.
He wasn't breathing?
Yeah, he wasn't really breathing, nothing. I was scared. And then the fire department got there, and they started pumping him and working him and doing that. And they spent probably 30 minutes on him. And then the ambulance came. They worked on him for a while. And then they called in Lifeline. Lifeline came in. They gave him a shot, kind of paralyzed him because he was out cold and they didn't know if he had a broken back or a broken neck or whatever. They put him on a stretcher. They flew him to Loma Linda. Time I got down to Loma Linda, probably 4 hours later or whatever, they had holes drilled in his head to relieve all the pressure to his brain. And they kind of told me they don't know if he'll make it or not. And I just thought, wow, that's kind of hard to tell his mom that, you know, he just moved in with me at 14 and he's 15 now and here he is getting hurt. And
Yikes.
I didn't want him really doing it, but he wanted to do it, and I told him, go out, ride, do whatever. I said, until I can see you really got effort and you want to train hard, you know, because I'm not going to bust my butt if you're not going to train.
Yeah.
And then eventually he came out. 19 days later, he woke up out of a coma, and he wanted to ride a little bit, and I got him a bike. I just told him, hey, just take it easy. I got him a YZ250, and he's just out riding with that. But he realizes he didn't really have it, you know. I mean, it's hard work. I mean, I'll tell you what.
So he completely recovered from that, though? No.
Yeah, he recovered little slow. You know, not 100%, but you know, he's done good. I mean, I had to end up throwing him out of my house here because I busted him smoking pot, and you know, I've never smoked pot. I've never done drugs. I've never drank beer or nothing my whole life.
Yeah, I heard you say that. You still no alcohol, no nothing your whole life.
Yeah, I don't do nothing. I just
coffee.
my wife always told me, hey, you know what? Why don't you relax and have a beer? I'm like, you know, to me that looks like urine. You know, what do you guys drink that stuff for? You know, and I mean, my wife, you know, she drinks or whatever, but I mean, that's her deal.
Yeah.
I'm not that way. I was always wanting to race and have a good time. And
was that something that was instilled in you by your dad? Because I've heard you say, like, you know, you got no tattoos, you know.
Yeah, I was, when I was 13 years old, I told myself I would never have tattoos, I would never have long hair, I would never go to jail.
Did you avoid the jail part?
I almost went to jail in Daytona, but it was just at the speedway. It wasn't like real jail or whatever. But yeah, I just kind of stuck with that, and then I never really went to bars or nothing like that. I didn't. Everybody always tells me, "You ever been to Hooters?" I'm like, "What's Hooters?" or whatever. I mean, I was always racing, training, you know, working all the time, and
probably don't need you at a bar anyway.
Right.
There'd be a few guys leaving on a stretcher.
Yeah, we'd be in trouble.
Well, tell us this Daytona story. How'd you almost get arrested in Daytona?
What happened was my mechanic didn't have a shirt on, and those guys back there, they kind of rednecks. They're pretty tough, and this guy was about probably 6'6", whatever, 300 pounds, big dude. And he told my mechanic, put your shirt on. My mechanic goes, okay. He put it around his neck. He didn't put it all the way on. Guy grabbed him and threw him in the cop car. It's 100 degrees out there, 100 humidity. The cop car's hot inside there. They shut the door on him and all that. I said, bullshit. I walked up and opened the door and told him, get out. F that cop, you know? And next thing I know, my mechanic got out and the guy starts chasing me and I started running. And next thing I know, I was running kind of along the fence, and all the guys on bikes, all the Harley guys and stuff, Hells Angels and all those guys, they were yelling, pig, 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 leave him alone, pig, you know? And it was funny. I had a big deal roar there, crowd roar going for me, you know? But it was kind of funny.
Did the cop give up?
No, he actually took me and put me in the car, turned the air conditioner off in the car, went out and talked to his buddy for about 15 minutes, and we were sweating like crazy inside that car. Then came back in, took me to the substation, talked to the sergeant. Sergeant goes, what are you doing touching our car? I go, what are you doing touching my mechanic? He goes, we can do whatever we want. I says, yes, sir. I figured, Rex, shut up. You might go to jail if you ain't careful.
Take the high road.
And then they told me, okay, you can go back and go and get your practice.
Yeah, that was back in a time where there wasn't a lot of oversight. And if cops wanted to be, they could kind of, you know what I mean? They could kind of do whatever they wanted.
Yep.
Kind of back alley justice or whatever they called it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, they could be a prick.
Just drive you to take you to their substation and beat the hell out of you with a stick.
Found him like that.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. He fell, hit the door. All right, so you became when you kind of washed your hands of racing, you became an electrician. That was your dad's trade?
That was my dad's trade, actually. I mean, I did electricians when I was younger and all that, wire houses, do all that stuff with him. But I became a plumber, actually. And my dad goes, what do you want to be a plumber for?
You went from full of shit to working on shit?
That's right. And he always says, you going to work for shit the rest of your life or what? And I said, I don't know. I think that electric is kind of a cream of the crop. I mean, that's kind of like sissy shit, you know. And he says, hey, I'll tell you what, son. Electronic will never stop. It'll just get better and better and better and harder and harder. And you know, I look at it today. Yeah, those guys are probably got the best trade there is. You know,
there's a shortage. Like in the country, they're saying those
linemen and stuff.
Yeah, just plumber, electrician, just all your basic necessities. They're starting to become a shift where most kids want to design apps or websites or things like that, so that you know.
You mean do nothing?
Yeah, be a bunch of pussies. What would you say? Because I got actually, I posted something on our site about Kurt Nickel, who was just on. And I said, you know, he comes from an era back when men were men. And I would say you're in that same era.
Right.
And you're a perfect example of that type of mentality where your parents probably went through the Depression, and the way that they raised you was, I mean,
almost traditional.
Yeah, you know, probably
like
just
traditional.
But just no bullshit.
Yeah.
You got to earn your keep. You know, the value of $1. You do something wrong, you will be punished for it. Yeah, you will have a healthy respect and fear of your parents.
Right.
And I think that's going away.
It is.
What's your thoughts on that?
It's, you know, 12 years old. I mean, I had to go out and work. I worked with my dad and stuff. My dad paid me very well. I worked my ass off. I made $500 a week. He paid me $15 an hour back then. That was good money.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you know, let's go work. You know, we'll water 3 houses a day and whatever it took. We did it. And he always made me crawl underneath the house or in the attic. I'm like, why do I always got to go under the house or in the attic? Because you're the littlest. Shut up. Just
and you're
do
getting
it.
paid.
That's right. And today.
Can you feel your nose when you scratch it?
No. It's all numb.
I was just curious. So you scratch it. I'm like, can you feel that?
It's like my bottom lip too. It's all numb. There's a nerve that goes from here all the way up. And I got off and landed in some rocks and tore all that off. And there's 100 and some stitches that sew me all back up. But like the kids nowadays, it's all the computer stuff, you know. I mean, they're lazy. They just want something for nothing, and they don't really want it. They don't realize what work really is, and. It's a different, you know, and then with the laws and stuff, you hit your kid, the kid can have you arrested. It's just like, you know what, my dad says, I remember when I was a little kid, he told me, don't go on that guy's grass, you know, and the ball rolled over there on the guy's grass, and nobody was scared to go on the grass. I said, I'll go get it. I go get it. The guy comes out, yells and screams at me. My dad hears it. He comes down to the bus stop. He grabs me, takes a belt, beats the hell out of me. Some guy pulls up side the road. You better leave that kid alone. My dad goes, you want some of it too? And the guy reaches underneath the seat of his car. My dad reached inside of his truck for the bender and went to go after him. Next thing you know, the guy takes off. My dad jumps in his truck, chases him to the fire department. The dude jumps over to the fire department behind the firemen. My dad told him to step out. I'm gonna put a head. My dad told him, I'll put a head on you can eat hay with, you know. And they don't have that nowadays. Nowadays, is you hit the kid and it's like, oh, you're gonna go to jail or you're gonna get in big trouble. And it's just the kids don't have no respect.
Yeah, I agree. No, I don't think we need to be hitting people with tire irons, but there's a certain level of respect and just an understanding of work ethic and the value of $1. And I think that's really been lost largely.
Well,
where these kids all just think everything should be done for them. No, I deserve it. I went to college. I deserve a job that pays me six figures or whatever the hell they want. You know, like
people are getting rewarded for bad behavior nowadays. You know, you do something and something happens and then you become a star. Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You notice that, like, people get more attention for being idiots than they do for trying to do something good.
Yeah. Well, what? So how is the job? You're plumbing now. You're doing big builds. Like
I'm doing the hospitals and stuff like that. We're doing kind of like some of the steam fitting stuff like that, pipe fitter and plumber. Are
these new jobs or upgrading?
Upgrading, like Pomona Hospital, and they're remodeling Redlands Community Hospital and Marietta down there hospital, and we just kind of build new buildings, you know, help building it bigger, and then fixing all the repairs that's going on, because the hospital in Pomona, that's been around since like 1907 or whatever, you know, and stuff's all rotten and stuff inside there, and
Yeah, a lot of Southern California has hit like a limit where a lot of that electrical and plumbing and all that stuff needs to be replaced and rewired.
Yep. It is, and it's a good trade, and it's hard work, but I'm about ready to retire. I mean, I'm 65 now, and I've put my time in.
Yeah.
And now what I'm gonna probably do is I got like 65 motorcycles. I'm gonna probably start putting them together and probably just try to sell them little by little. I got like 21 Makos and.
Oh, is that right?
I had like 10 CZs. I got rid of those things. I didn't want those, but I have some Yamahas and Hondas and a couple things here and there. I just sold my Husky but yeah, I can do a lot of work. Like my wife says, what are you gonna do with all this stuff? You got way too much stuff. You got everything. And that's what everybody says when they come to my place. It's like, man, what don't you have? This is like Home Depot.
Is it bikes that you just kept over? You never really sold anything over your career?
Some of them, I bought some. Guys needed money or whatever. They came to me and go, hey, man, can you give me $500 for this or give me $1,000 or whatever? And they were hurting for money. And I'm like, yeah, okay, here. And I buy it and stuff because I always kind of save my money. I didn't really waste it, but things expensive and I didn't make that much money racing like everybody else have in the years, like especially with the new kids nowadays and stuff. But I've tried to save my money and do much as I could. But I mean, I've had a good time. I mean, I basically got everything I would want. I mean, I got a big diesel pusher. I got tractors. I got side-by-sides. I got motorcycles.
Yeah.
And
provided a good life for you.
Yeah, and it's been good. And try to grow my kids. My kids, my step-kids, I'm happy with them. One of them's like a project manager. Another one's a nurse. Another one is a vet for horses and stuff like that.
Cool.
And they got a head on their shoulders. They good kids and never been in trouble or nothing like that. And I try to guide them in the right way, right direction, and they don't need all that other BS stuff.
Yeah. What do you do for fun?
Work.
Well, that's kind of what struck me. I mean, that's why I say when you're not working, what do you do?
Yeah, I usually try. 90% of the time, to be honest with you, I'm working all the time. My wife just trying to tell me. This is the first time I took a vacation to go to Daytona. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but she was working in a school district. She was a librarian, and I told her, she's like, I'm tired of my job, all that. I said, retire. Just quit. She's 62 years old, and she finally quit. And then we decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to try to work a couple days a week and just do it easy, just trying to keep my insurance and stuff up. Mm-hmm. And she said, let's go do things. I'm like, all right, tell you what, let's go to Daytona. And
let's go on a motocross vacation.
Yeah. I married her in South Africa, actually. What happened after I got divorced from the first one, and then I eventually took her over for a Supercross race over there. It was a 125 in Kings Park.
Oh, and,
yeah. And we went to St. Petersburg and got married down there. And that was the racing. And she didn't really know who I was when she met me or nothing like that. It was kind of funny because she told me, what's your name? And I just told him, Rick Staten. And she says, oh, I saw riding motorcycles, whatever. She goes, oh, yeah, my ex-husband, he was a 100 champion out in the desert on a trail bike. And his name was Mark Cartwright. I said, oh, yeah. I said, I don't know. I said, 100? That's like riding a mini bike, And it was funny. But then she didn't know who I was. She went back to him and said, this guy named Rick Staten? And Mark says, oh, yeah, I know that guy. He's a crazy dude, that dude. And I guess she must have liked him or whatever. And I just said, okay. And then we eventually got married. Whenever I think we've been married for 32 years now.
All right. That's awesome.
But we're going to go to Sturgis this year. And
cool.
We're going to go a couple places here and there and try to start taking a little bit more time. I went to Florida. I went back. I said, you know what? I need to go home, sell everything, and I'm going to move. And I got tired of kind of California, all the BS and all that,
It's tough here. It's gotten really weird.
Yep.
So how was that Daytona trip for you guys?
It was good.
It's got to be pretty neat to be back there with most of the Daytona winners.
Yeah, 40 years has just changed a little bit, The infield there wasn't like it was back then because they told me back in, I think, 203, 204, big hurricane came through there and just tore that place apart. They had to rebuild it and stuff. But it's nice. It was good. The people were good. You know what? The roads are really good. You don't see trash or nothing on the side of the roads or anything like that. Only seen one like homeless guy or whatever. He was at the beach. And my wife says, if I was homeless, I'd be at the beach too. You know what I mean? And it was good. It was the people were really friendly, nice. Not like California. You can tell when you come into California, everybody's got like a little attitude or whatever they think. You know.
Everybody's there's not a whole lot of courtesy out here.
Yeah, especially on the roads.
Yeah.
Like in my Sprinter van, I have my blinker on and trying to turn, and people are like, "Rrrt."
Yep.
Yeah.
And eventually you have to cut someone off, and they honk, and I'm like, I've had my blinker on for like half a minute.
GL, not you, buddy.
You put your blinker on, people speed up so you can't get in.
And I'm like, I just try to let you know I'm going to wedge you over, and some people do, but a lot don't.
That happened to us last week. We were leaving the show, and I went to go past some guy.
Yeah.
And he was going 55 in the fast lane. And we go around him, and then he hammers it. He pins it.
80, yeah. Standard.
Well, he didn't.
And then I waved at him, too.
He didn't. Hey, he didn't beat me.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like I got a Corvette, and every time I get in a Corvette, it seems like I got all these little Honda cars wanting to race you.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you don't want to touch this Z06. I mean, this thing will just blow you off, you know what I mean? It's amazing, you know, they want to race you. My wife says, I like it. I just gas it.
She encourages you?
No. She does when she drives it, because I let her drive it most of the time. I don't really drive it that much. She says, I'll get in trouble.
I'm the same way. Got rid of my car.
Was there any of the other 500 winners or the Daytona winners down there that you talked to that
we had,
you hadn't seen in a while?
We had Gunnar Lindstrom. He was the first
That's
one.
Pretty neat.
71. He won it. And then the next guy was actually me. He was 1980. Other guys, they wanted money to come and do all that. And,
is that right?
Daytona really couldn't afford, paying them all money and do that. And everybody just thinks, the sport was like a family thing. I don't know how this money thing is, but we did have Ricky Johnson rode down there with his dad passed away and all that, and he
rode across the country,
right? On Gold Wing and all that, spread his ashes and did that, and
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, good deal. And
Rex was saying he spread his ashes up the finish line at Daytona,
right underneath the hay bale there, and it was good. And then at Froggy's, he had a beer with his dad and stuff like that. Had the stern there with a beer and stuff, and it was good. And then Jeff Staten, he was there. He was kind of late. He showed up late. And Emick was there, and then Carmichael.
That was it?
Yeah, that was all.
You're kidding.
Out of all those guys, I mean, there was a lot of guys. There should have been Wyndham. There should have been.
Reed was there. He was racing.
Technically, he was there. Yeah.
Yeah, Reed was there. Eli was there. He was like Wyndham.
And to be fair, Ricky has a lot of wins, so he counts for a lot of years.
Right.
No, there was a lot of people missing.
You got Wyndham that was missing.
Wardy would have been missing.
Right. And I don't know if Ward ever won it. I don't think Ward ever won it, did he?
I'm pretty sure Wardy did.
I think he did. Hey, why don't you see what you can find out over there,
I know
Donnie?
you're busy over there leaning in your rocking chair, but do you mind just pulling up a quick stat for us?
Yeah, because I couldn't believe. I mean, I don't know Barnett, no Howerton. I mean,
Barnett
those guys never won it either.
Well, I mean, I understand Bale not being there. That's a bit of a trek.
Right.
What do you think of racing these days? When you watch, do you keep up with it pretty close?
Yeah, I watch it. I kind of. I like Ken Rodson. I mean, I know he's been through a lot of hell, and for the guy to keep coming back and doing that, I mean, I kind of root him on a lot.
Yeah.
So I just think he needs to be in a little better shape. I mean, Eli's pretty tough, but I mean, really, for what I seen this weekend, I mean, there was no question for that. I mean, he should have had that one. I mean, he had a nice big 9-second lead, but
yeah,
it's pretty tough.
It's hard when Eli turns it on, though. He's got speed that, I don't know, man. When he's on, he's really on.
I think for Kenny, if you look at it, I don't think he's used to just being ran down out of nowhere. Because you watch when someone's coming, he doesn't quite have that ability to
go
put that out and like dig deep and really put Eli to the test. It's more like he was like, oh man, I'm probably just going to have to take a second tonight. That's what it looked a little bit, but I'm sure he felt different.
And to be fair, he's probably going, okay, this is Eli's kind of track. I'm going to just keep it on two wheels. I'll do the best I can do. If he beats me, he beats me. We've still got 7 races.
He looks like
to
he's
go.
riding for the long haul, Kenny, as well. And I get that after you said everything he's been through. You get that.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, he did come back. He was trying to be aggressive, and then him and Webb got into it, and he got hurt again. And that kind of takes it out of you. And a lot of times, a lot of guys, they can go fast for a long time, but as soon as they get hurt, you can see they just start getting all out of it, basic. And like with me, that's what they always says, aren't you afraid when you get hurt, whatever? I'm like, I never worried about it. This was my job. This is what I'm going to be doing. And I just go for it. I mean, I've been busted up pretty bad.
But didn't you get to a point where you were like, you know what, the risk is not worth the reward?
If my boy wouldn't have probably got hurt, I would have kept going.
Really?
But with him getting hurt and him laying in the hospital and everything, I couldn't see going to races while he's laying there with tubes in his head and all that, And I just thought, you know what, I better go get a real job. And then I became a plumber, union plumber, and decided, okay, my life's over, whatever. And then if I get a ride, I'll ride. If I don't, no big deal.
Yeah.
But it's tough. It's in your blood. You want to do it all the time, but you got to realize, hey, I'm old. Reflexes ain't as good. I can't see as good. Can't smell.
Yeah.
Can't taste.
Are you still riding a little bit these days?
Yeah, I'm riding.
I know you took some time off for a while, but
I got a guy that helps me out. Southern California Mako, Gary Klotz. He got a bike, and I kind of share it with Grant Livingston. He rides it, and if he don't ride it, I ride it. And we just kind of, the guy's a good
Do
guy.
some scramble racing.
Yeah, we out there, and it's fun. It's not real dangerous or whatever. And we have
a bit like
time.
an old TT track.
Yeah.
Like they do like Glen Helen, they'll use like the main straight and then like an infield section.
Okay.
But it's fun.
Yeah.
It's just like flat tracking almost and a couple rollers.
Yeah.
It's good. And it's just like, the people are good. It's like all big family,
I was going to say, when you go to that, like if someone's bike doesn't start, everyone runs over to try and lend a hand. And someone's got Mako parts, someone's got CZ parts, someone's got, and everyone kind of helps it. It's cool. It's like it used to be when we first got into it type thing.
Right.
Yeah. I really like the vintage scene. In fact, they had the vintage race at Daytona. I'm surprised you didn't stay down for that.
Yeah, I couldn't get all my gear. I mean, it cost me a fortune because every bag you take costs you $30.
I know.
This is the guy with the Z06.
Here I come.
That's going to the grocery store and back in gas for you.
That's right. But I just said, I have for 2 bags. My wife had a bag. I had a bag of $60.
Yeah.
And it's only less than 50 pounds.
Well,
what are you on? Cheaper airlines? Oh no, they all charge that. Unless you're status. That's right.
But right now, if you look at airlines are down. You can get a ticket to Hawaii right now for $200 because of this flu.
Yeah, the flu. Have you ridden a modern bike in the last few years?
I have a 520 KTM. I got a 450 KTM.
What do you think of those?
I like them. They're good bikes.
Yeah. I mean, you've ridden You've ridden for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, you started from real pieces of shit to that. Like that's
I had the first fuel injection bike was with ATK when I was doing Baja with me and Ty Davis. And that was pretty amazing. We were down there in Baja doing that. And then I remember something went haywire and the bike kind of quit. And I can remember getting off the bike and I hear something underneath the seat going, I'm like, what the hell is that? And I couldn't get the bike started, and I just parked against the fence and just figured I'd get way down to the pits or whatever and get on somebody else's bike and go. But fuel injection, I love it. I like it. That's why I kind of quit Mako, went to Yamaha, because I like when I come into a corner and I give it a handful, come out just hanging on, wild. And where the Mako is like a tractor. Now, a little bit older, you want something that's a little bit more mellower. And Mako's always been a hell of a good bike. And still are good bikes. You can get old 74 Mako and go out ride on a hard slippery track and you won't believe how good that thing is.
Yeah.
But that motor and chassis for its time was really good.
And then back in the day, you had Adolph Wheel and stuff like that. If you go back and you look at times, and when we were riding with 6 inches, he was really riding with 9 inches of travel. I mean, he was pretty good. And they changed the shocks between motos and that. Here we ride shock all year. You know, we didn't have a clue what the Europeans were doing. But
what are your plans then for retirement? I mean, if you are you talking about getting in your motorhome and just taking off and traveling a little bit, or just more selling the bike, kind of fixing those bikes?
I'm going to work on the bikes and do that. I'm going to go to some of the vintage races. I like to go to that Diamond Dawns. I like to go to that Idaho race. A couple races, around.
The Interam in Boise? Is that the one? Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of go there, have a good time, and it's kind of a family thing. It's not like I got a race or whatever, you know what I mean? But the wife always says to me, don't you get mad when you get second? I'm like, why? I got nothing to prove to nobody. I've rode my tail off all my life. I'm just there to do what I have to, and if anybody needs help, come and ask me, and I'll help you and do whatever it takes. And I like kids, and I'll help whatever I have to do to help them and do that.
I love to see guys still riding and into it, because there are so many who they either just don't want to get beat and kind of let their ego take a beating, or they don't want people to think less of them because they got beat. Like, I love that Ryan Villapoto, win, lose, or draw, he's still out there doing at different events and riding and you know what I mean?
Yep.
There's so many guys that are just go, no, I'm done. I'm never going to ride a bike again.
I can remember when Jeremy McGrath was champion at the time, and I walked up to him and I go, hey, you know what, buddy? You better enjoy it while you can. Because one day hero, next day zero. We all can't be on top forever. I even said the same thing to Ricky Johnson, and they come to me today and say to me, you know what? Boy, I'll never forget what you said. And it's true. I mean, I don't care who you are. There's always somebody out there that's going to beat you. You give it all you got, the best you can, why you can, and why you can do it. And it was like with James Stewart. I mean, I know he could have done maybe a little bit longer, I felt. But, they made so much money where they give up too easily, Look at Chad Reed. I mean, there's a guy that he busted his tail, he spent his money, he did whatever, He's really like a true racer. I mean, now he's back of the pack or whatever. It's just like we can't be on top forever.
Yeah. Time waits for no man.
That's right.
It beats us all. That's for sure. All right. Well, one of the last questions we ask everybody is kind of how do you want to be remembered in this sport? What legacy do you want to leave?
Yeah, hard working, never give up. Didn't take no shit from nobody. And just nice guy. A lot of guys, they'll say, hey, you're the nicest guy I ever met, but don't put that helmet on. What I mean? I've seen articles that says, hey, this is the nicest guy you ever meet, but he puts that helmet on, he turns into a lion. And hey, I was raised to race. My dad says, you're there to race, not play games or whatever. Costs a lot of money. We didn't have the money. He worked hard for it. I worked hard for what I have got in my life. And, without my wife and stuff like that, trying to let me keep going, doing what I want to do, I don't know what I would be doing, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I think you're one of the original journeyman racers, man. Like, you found a way to make a living, whether it was here or South Africa or, and I just think that's super cool.
Privateer.
30 years.
Yeah, it was a long time, and I mean, I would have probably kept going if my boy didn't get hurt, but because he got hurt, I just said, you know what, I've done it long enough. I can't do it forever. And I get guys call me, hey, you're a hero. I go, no, I'm a zero now. Don't worry. You know what I mean? Well, you're a legend. I'm like, nah, I'm just an average guy. I'm just like you. You could have done the same thing. It's how much money, how much time you want to put into it. You can do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's all these guys out there. Anybody that really, really wants to do it, it's time and effort.
Yep.
The money will come eventually. It's just got to give it all you got. You know, and that's what I always says. Back then it was 100%. Now it may be 200%, but you got to work hard. I mean, the kids are working hard. They training hard. I mean, it's pretty tough. But back in our days, it was pretty tough too. I mean, we rode with 4 or 6 inches of travel.
Oh yeah,
it's changed, but it's always been tough. That's the cool thing about this sport.
Yep.
Well, Rex, thanks so much for coming on, man. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Hey,
it's been an absolute pleasure.
Get to rub some elbows on the track at the next TT scrambles.
All right, cool.
Yeah, we'd love to see you at a vintage race. All right, that's Rex Staten. Stay tuned to wrap up the show.
4WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, 4WP has you covered. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at 4WP.com.
Yeah. I want nights where it feels so nice. Something in a photo. Right now. Let's do this right. Go slow out of moonlight. It's still shining. One day I'ma let go. One day I'ma let go. Everyone's using me, but maybe that's something I like. Yeah, I've been on something since last month, but I'm feeling alright. Maybe I'm blind to see. Maybe I'm losing my mind. So I've been on something since last month, but I don't feel alright. It's me against myself. It's me against myself. I'm starting to black out, yeah. I've been staring at the stars. Running from myself. I'm running from myself. I'm starting to black out, yeah. I've been staring at the stars.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. Good time with Rex Staten there. If you're not familiar with his career, it was pretty impressive. Like I said, I remember as a kid coming over and on mini bikes, watching him race at the Golden States and stuff like that. And he was this crusty old dude. And even then, there was a vibe about like, yeah, that's Rex Staten. Don't mess with him. Don't stay out of his way. Like he was just always this hard ass guy.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine having to race him. Like he was just one of those guys that scared you.
Yeah, he's also that guy you just didn't want to give him a reason to get pissed with you. So it's like if you saw half a gap, you'd be like, yeah, I'll just wait for another opportunity.
Yeah, I'll wait till I can get him clean.
Yeah.
You know something else? You hear stories, right, of this story and that story. But then when he's telling all the stories that he did, it's like, holy crap, dude. Like, they had no problem kicking somebody's ass.
Something tells me that was the tip of the iceberg. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there was probably a lot of stuff.
He's forgot more than he knows, for sure.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's jump into our 4-wheel parts Get At Me Q&A. 4-wheel parts, your one-stop shop for anything off-road. You can get Method race wheels in there. You can buy tires, lights, steps, tailgate. Suspension. Lift kits, leveling kits. Whatever it is
you look at their website, it's just a big catalog.
It's massive, and they install everything. Those guys do an awesome job. Very, very cool stuff. Check out the number 4wheelparts.com. Donnie, what do we have for questions today?
Let me turn my mic on.
There you go. That always helps.
That helps.
We got a question off of off the internet. What do we call the Twitter?
The Twitter.
One of the Twitter followers wants to know, with the resurgence of the 125 class, and it seems like a lot of two-strokes are coming back, what would it take for the manufacturers to kind of get reinvested in those and come out with new products?
Ooh, pick me.
Go,
I think I have an idea. Here's the problem that I see when you're in that sort of dealership level, you're dealing with manufacturers, you're seeing what consumers want. There's still a demand for two-strokes. But if you're the manufacturers, there's no security. Like, you go put time and money and tooling into something, and here in California, they hate two-strokes. They don't want them here. They're doing everything to outlaw them. So if I'm Honda, Yamaha, what am I looking at? Okay, the only thing that they're not going to really bar us from or penalize us or whatever it may be is if we go in the direction they want, and what is that? Electric. So I think it's... I think a lot of that is political, meaning they don't know what to do, because I remember at one point when they said they want to, in the beginning when four-strokes came along, they said, well, two-strokes will be outlawed. And they said probably within the next 10 years. I think it was an AMA comment from racing, and we're going to make this transition. That's the direction we're going. And then it was going that way, and then it's the pendulum swinging back, and everyone's like, yeah, but, I grew up riding a two-stroke. And so you're torn between it, but I think for the manufacturers, without any certainty or guarantees for a period of time, I just don't see them going back into jumping into muddy waters.
Yeah, I think that they're afraid in terms of putting new money into it. Like, Yamaha's obviously kept those same YZ 125,
and KTM has them.
And they make updates to it and stuff. But as a smaller brand, I think they're capable of doing that, having that latitude without it costing so much money. Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, Cowie are so big, the corporations.
Yeah.
to make those decisions and get that stuff to happen is like
Yeah,
miles
and all of these decisions they do 5, 6, and 10-year plans.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like they're like
At least.
they have no idea. Like you're saying, GL, it's like electric.
Yeah.
They have no idea what's going to be around in 10 years, and investing that kind of tooling and money would be difficult.
I just think, like you said, it's a time. I wish I could be a fly on the wall in those meetings, and they obviously have probably better intel on what's going to happen at what stage. Like, how long is it going to be until electric is really the thing? Because Honda has a bike. We've already seen pictures of it.
Yeah.
All of
Everyone
them
has
do.
the technology.
Right.
Is-
So
yeah.
at what point do we make that step? So, and if we, obviously they're thinking that's probably what's coming is electric. So why do we want to go back to two-stroke? But then
That's a lot of it.
Then you see this Formula One chatter that's come up where they're looking at going. Formula One's going back to two strokes. So
Well,
Two strokes?
again,
Yeah.
Well, again, we have the technology to make
Wait,
them
wait,
cleaner,
wait.
right?
Are you
Direct
sure about
injection.
this?
yeah, did you see that article?
I saw something about that. Yeah.
There's discussion about it.
I thought I saw an article that Formula One was going to be fully electric here.
And
by
I've seen that
2030.
as well too.
Yeah, there's
And
somebody
that
that's
would be awful.
Yeah, could you imagine the sound? No sound.
Well, they
coming
already
out of those
sound
cars?
like shit. The
Yeah.
last time I went to Austin, I was like, I'm never coming back to an F1 race.
Right.
Is
It
that
says-
right?
I went to
sounds like
Austin
an
the
Accord.
first year when it was the old school V8, V10 screamers, you know, 19,000 RPM. And then when we went there, I took the family, we went, I think 3 years ago, and it was like watching washing machines go around the track. In fact, the most fun I had was watching the vintage F1 cars doing their parade race.
And I'm sorry, I messed it up. It's not F1. I'm talking about MotoGP.
Yeah, MotoGP.
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
I was like,
wrong thinking. No, not F1.
Yeah, I was thinking this.
Two-stroke?
Hey, when you were saying that, I was thinking MotoGP as well.
Yeah, it didn't click till you said that. But it's MotoGP. There's some.
I hope
There's
not.
some new two-stroke engine development.
Maybe it's an
breakthrough
emission
that's-
thing. Who knows? The thing that just concerns me is MotoGP's just gotten a point where Ducati's competitive. Aprilia stepped up. KTM looks pretty good. Honda's good. Yamaha's good. Suzuki's good. You change the sport around and you could have one manufacturer dominating, one
Right.
suck. You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
so
and
hopefully
and
it's a little more
MotoGP
even.
went through a real problem when they went to the 900 and all that stuff
Then it
happened.
was-
was terrible. For
Yeah,
a
then it
minute.
went, 1,200, then it was back
1,200.
to 1,000.
Yeah,
you
it
know. So
was-
there was a lot of bouncing around, and manufacturers were getting frustrated. So there's always a lot of moving parts, and motorcycle sales for all the big Japanese brands is a drop in the ocean of what their corporations are. So, you know, if they look and go, wait, you're saying I could sell a couple hundred two-strokes? Who cares? Oh, 10,000 two-strokes in North America per year? Okay, maybe you got my attention now. So there's another factor.
Yeah, I just don't think there's an interest in them again, but
a demand,
is
but not
it
a
enough?
huge
Yeah,
demand.
I just-
And it's not like they can take an old motor and put it in a new chassis because you never know how that's going to work, right? So they have
has
to
to be
do
R&D.
R&D.
yeah, but on a 125, you could. I mean, you just
Okay,
could.
but I'm
it
just
would
saying-
take Suzuki's proven it. They've already got a couple of concept bikes they've had for 5
but-
years now.
Yeah, but and that's
And they drop a 125 and a 250 motor into their
and that's great.
current
But there's
frames.
still another bike size, the 250, that people would be interested in.
They've already
So-
built it. They have a 250 as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they use the 250F frame or the 450 frame.
Right.
But they dropped it right in. They made different little.
Oh, it was like the old service Honda when they went
Basically,
like that
yeah.
type of deal. Yeah.
You got to imagine with two strokes, the nice thing is you can just make a bracket and a couple headpieces, and like you said, there's a little testing involved.
I
there,
like
but
how, for GL how easy that was.
It's just.
You just put a bracket here and a bracket there.
I'll get Rex to machine it for me.
You're just done. You're good to go.
Well, anyway, I don't ever see it. Maybe I hope I'm wrong, but I
was
don't ever
never-
see them going. We're all right. We're going back to two strokes.
I
and
was
it's all
never-
this
The
way."
only way that can happen is if there's a way to prove that the emissions is actually better than the current four strokes. That's the only way I can see
Right.
that possible. If there's pollution-wise, if it's the same or worse, it'll never happen.
Yeah,
I was never a fan.
which sucks. It sucks
yeah.
that politics and California has such a impact on.
Well, we can't even
Industry.
bring in the YXZs, Yamahas, to the dealership in California.
Is that right?
Considered dirty air vehicle because it's a sports performance vehicle. So they want utility stuff that's just choked down that
Yeah.
barely runs.
Yeah, it's the same with personal watercraft. Yamaha
everyone- yeah.
Superjets. You
A
can't
lot-
sell them in state.
Like Polaris, they just gave up on some of these mini quads and that they're like, it's not even worth the hassle of all the emission stuff we have to
Yeah.
go through. So we're just not going to bring them in.
I never raced or rode really a 125, and I didn't care about them, and I didn't think that much about them until I saw the Dream Race and the 125 All-Star Race. Then I was like, man, these things really are an amazing stepping stone for guys to come and race and ride.
It was funny. I was trying to watch when you were at Redbud just to see how you were doing. And when everyone came by, it was like, it took me like a trip down memory lane. Like just from, I was like, reminds me of GPs, the early 125 outdoors, like kind of made my hair stand up a little bit. And
the smell, the exhaust.
Yeah. Oh, because when they come by, you're like, oh, now I know why the greenies hate motocross. But I'm like, smells good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
if you lived it, I think it's got a special place in some people's hearts. But
well, I can tell you this bottom line: if you've never ridden one, you grew up on a Honda 150 and you went right to a 250F or whatever, and you try to ride one,
you're like, I don't get it.
No, it's not fun. It's
fish out of water.
It's so much more work.
Yeah.
But
you have to change the style and
you
everything.
have to appreciate that, right? And I believe personally that it's a good limiter for a new rider because you can't go do some big jump until you have the technique and the ability to get through a turn.
Well, you guys have talked about, when you guys saw the change of the guard going from 125 to a 252 stroke, and you're like, I can't do this triple, and their guys are like, up and over.
Well, now the flip side is you could be a guy who's lacking a bit of skill, come out of the corner, grab a handful and seat bounce a jump and get launched, because of the power of the four-stroke. Like you said, on a two-stroke, it'd be like, and you case it.
Yeah, on a 450, you find yourself 30 feet in the air, going 80 feet, and if it's not right, you run out of talent midair. That's a big crash. Anyway.
Definitely a problem.
All right, what else we got?
Well, with this virus going around, there's a lot of chatter about...
Should we be nervous? We're in Corona as we speak.
You know what's funny?
Are we at the heart of the problem?
So I told Tish we were driving in from Orange County, and there's that big sign on the 91 that says, Corona. And I'm like, man, we should, take that Corona.
No, we should.
All right.
What's the question?
I'm done. No more questions. There's chatter that, now Seattle's been canceled and that possibly some of the other rounds could be canceled or run with no spectators.
Yeah,
what do you guys think about that?
Indy was canceled, it sounds like here. It's Friday prior to, but...
Yeah, so by the time this airs, we would have known for sure, but we're just catching wind. We're looking on our phone and hearing from people here at TLD that Indy's been canceled. And other events, they want to try and at least run a series, obviously, and there's chatter about having double headers, maybe later in Denver and Vegas and places like that.
Well, Seattle's canceled, they so that we know, and that's 2 rounds out.
That's because of the county.
Yeah,
it's that's not. Fell doesn't have any say in
that was the state, the governor there.
But this is just weird times, man. It's uncharted waters. I've been watching racing a long time, and I remember those times where you're like, a race could be canceled, like no way. And now we're like, everything's canceled. Every time I pick up my phone, there's no soccer, no basketball, no this, no that, no.
Hey,
events,
NASCAR is
no
talking
concerts.
about either no Atlanta and no Homestead or no spectators there, and those get like big numbers.
And that same chatter has gone on about Detroit.
Yep.
No spectators, and I'm just thinking, how does Feld take that hit? To pay for the dirt, rent the stadium, all of the cost.
Think about opening ceremonies. Imagine you come out and you're like,
there just wouldn't be
grandstand.
No, they'd just skip it, right? It would just go right to racing.
It's got to be really weird.
Hey, and there's something else. How much do the spectators play into the racers getting pumped up when they're in battles and things like that, and they hear the crowd yelling?
Sure.
It would be super weird to be out there racing and it's just empty in that stadium.
And dead quiet.
Think about that. It'd be so weird.
The closest I can think of is maybe when we did press day. But you knew it was press day. You weren't in a race setting. You were just going to the jump, whatever. But that's got to be weird. Like the card goes sideways, gate drops, you get the lead, someone crashes, and you don't know. Think about it. If you're leading or near the front, you hear, someone either went down or someone got taken out or slammed. Yeah. There'll be none of that.
Well, how much is TV the factor, right? How much money is TV the factor of them doing this or not? Right. Obviously, that's the factor, but
I don't think they're not getting rich off the TV package.
Yeah.
I just don't think that they are. The money is at the stadium. So this will be a really interesting thing. And
the other option is just what do you do? Just not really have a series? How does that go on paper? An asterisk?
When you have two races canceled already, potentially others to come, right? We got 8 rounds left? 7?
7,
5, 4, 3.
5, 4. Yeah. So you're going to have to start doubling some of these up. if that's even a possibility.
Well,
and again, you got to, that depends on what's planned for those stadiums.
Right.
Can you even get anyone to show up on a Sunday if you did a Saturday night, Sunday afternoon?
But what about Friday night, Saturday night? I think that would be smart.
Well, and here's the other
Maybe.
thing too. Like, you can't run other weekends now because baseball season. In baseball stadiums, baseball season's coming on.
Oh, the stadiums are sold out,
Yeah.
already.
Right.
So it'll be really interesting to see what happens. I think it's a bummer either way. The big thing that it just got me scratching my head is obviously I work as a paramedic in the field, so we've been educated the best we can on this virus, right? And essentially, it's actually less lethal for kids than the common flu. If you are a healthy middle-aged adult or young kid, it's no worse than the flu. It's only lethal if you're 70 plus, you're older, you have immunodeficiencies, or you have other comorbidity factors, meaning you're overweight, you are a smoker, so your lungs are already jacked up, because this basically becomes a respiratory infection.
Yeah, it's a viral pneumonia.
So, I mean, I get it. We need to be prudent and take caution so that everybody doesn't get sick. But I'm like, where was the panic over SARS, over MERS, over all these other?
Hey, listen,
It's been a million, but
tuberculosis has killed some crazy number a year still. Crazy numbers. And what are we here in the United States? That 13, 14 people have died? And they're all elderly or, like you just said, already
had
pre-existing health issues.
Yeah, so I completely get the precaution and doing what, trying to limit the spread, but I feel like, whoa, we're spun into this crazy panic. You go to the grocery store, you can't buy toilet paper. What the hell are you buying toilet paper for, people?
I don't even get that
Diarrhea is
one.
not even a symptom of this thing. What are you doing with this shit? It's like, calm down. If you're going to stockpile it and get all
some
weird.
food.
Yeah, get canned food and water.
water.
I don't get it, man. Like,
it's California 2020. Everyone's like, but I can't, in a pandemic, I can't be walking around with my hiney not fresh.
oh my gosh, what if I run out of toilet paper? I just don't understand it.
Yeah, this has gotten... Did you see people fighting? Dude, there were two larger ladies fighting in the aisle over toilet paper because one lady had taken it all and the other lady was saying she just wanted a roll.
Wow.
And they got into a fight in the aisle.
I saw a comment from a buddy. It says, due to the coronavirus, with the job my wife and I have, we have to work from home. And he goes, I'm pretty sure that one of us is going to kill each other before the virus gets to us. And I was like, good one.
Well, we just flew up to Montana to do a ski trip with my family, and we went through Seattle.
You were supposed to tell me if you traveled.
And the plane was empty, man. Like, I haven't seen a plane that empty since the
9/11.
late 80s.
So,
Well, yeah, maybe roughly.
we're supposed to go on a cruise here at the beginning of April. They canceled our cruise.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out what to do.
Here's how cheap firemen are. These cruise lines offered free cruises for any fire, police, and military.
Yeah.
Sold out. They sold them out right away.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I would
we'll
go.
go on anything.
I would go. They shut my cruise down. I told Tish, I don't care what's going to happen.
Oh, man. Well,
Yeah, it's big inconvenience for a lot of people when you look at it. It's going to hurt the economy, everything.
Oh yeah. Well, it's already done that.
My stocks are suffering big time.
Dude, I'm going to start buying like mad right now.
yeah.
Buy airline stock.
This shit'll all be over in the next few months. It'll at least calm down to a reasonable level. But
Well, let's just hope we can have a normal start to the outdoors.
yeah, it blows me away that it's gotten so crazy.
Yeah, this is a little. I don't even. Tish keeps saying, we're missing something here.
That's
There's
maybe
something
what I've thought as
going
well.
on that we're missing here.
The only thing I think that maybe made this one different to some of the others is it seemed like within a week or so it was like, oh, someone in Australia got it. Then it was New Zealand, South America, South Africa, and it was just it was like a light up switch.
Well,
and I think when it becomes global, then you get that international panic. Because there's countries that go, we don't even know how to test for it. We don't know what it is. Are we all going to die?
Yeah. Well, and I think we don't have enough test kits. There is no vaccine for it yet. And the big kicker is that you are contagious when you're asymptomatic. So
Yeah.
I could have it right now. I feel great.
Cool,
Now
thanks,
I'm giving
man.
it to you. And then Donnie gets it, right? But some people are getting it, adults that are healthy. Maybe they get the sniffles.
They don't even know it.
Or maybe nothing.
don't even know it.
But I might be in trouble. I'm overweight, so
Yeah.
it affects people. I'm dying.
Dude,
I got to give Jason Anderson a little plug in this. He had a Twitter post because Tom Hanks and his wife announced that they were tested positive for it, and he goes, "Forrest Gump got the coronavirus. Ah, shit, we're all effed."
Wait, I saw somebody else posted that now Tom Hanks is stuck on an island with Wilson. Again.
That's pretty funny.
Oh,
Yep.
Dino's down there. Cool.
Yeah. No, his wife's
I
Rita
know.
Wilson. Oh, okay, I didn't know if you knew.
Well,
All right.
Wilson was also his
That was the volleyball.
pet volleyball.
Yeah, that was his volleyball on the island.
Right. All right. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens.
It's just weird, man.
It's going to suck if this ends up like...
Nothing.
Well, no,
Peter's
no.
out.
No, it will peter out. It's not going to wipe out, massive numbers of people. But if let's say they cancel 3 or 4 rounds and they just... I mean, I don't think they can make them
Well,
up.
here's the problem now. You have a fight for the championship, and who knows how it would have turned out.
That's what I'm
if
saying.
you're shifting 3 rounds around like that.
Like, it's like, if they were to have canceled the last rounds of the National and some guy just gets the championship.
They get he gets a call at a party.
Yeah, man, what a bunch of bullshit.
I know.
And when it's pouring rain out.
Yeah, I know. And speaking of pouring rain, if you hear like some static through this whole show,
It's been pissing rain.
it's pouring rain. We're in this building has sort of a metal roof, so that is not our audio. You're actually hearing the rain. So
Everything is off the charts right now. The weather in California is weird. We got the coronavirus outbreak. We got every time you pick up your phone, everything's been cancelled.
Dude, I drove to Fallbrook on Monday. 0 traffic in the morning. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I'm like,
Oh, don't
looking
worry.
around.
It'll make up for it when we leave here because there's accidents everywhere.
Oh, there are.
California drivers in the rain. It's like bumper cars out there.
Yeah,
it's rough. All right, that everything we got?
that's all I got.
Awesome. I want to make one more mention here for our friend Brian Moreau, who was Troy Lee Designs Red Bull KTM team rider, injured at the first round of the East Coast Series. We've got his jersey up back here, but if you go over to Road to Recovery, they have a fund set up specifically for him, and if you're able to give, even if it's just $5 or something, man, give him some help. He's in a rough spot, and we want to do everything we can. We are going to be, we'll have this announced here on our social media channels and also Road to Recovery. We've been talking about this, our signature board. It's got signatures from every single rider we had on all last season. Incredible collection of signatures with the Whiskey Throttle Show logo in the middle. Pretty neat. All like a brushed aluminum. Pretty cool looking deal. So
I'll actually put a photo up of that. I got yelled at because I forgot to do it once.
yeah, so anyway, keep an eye out for that. That's coming in the coming weeks, and we'll probably direct all those funds to his charity over there at Road to Recovery. Just want to do some good things for him. And I also want to say PowerDot is going to be sending him a unit to use. Their team manager, Tyler Keefe, asked if we could get him one, and those guys were happy to do it. So I really appreciate it. Stoked to be involved with companies like PowerDot that are all about helping out when people need help. So anyway, that's it. If you can get over there to Road Recovery, do that. I want to thank our sponsors one more time, Yamaha. Just so pumped to have these guys on board and be a part of this show. Amazing products. PowerDot again, 20% off over there using the code Whiskey Throttle. Method Race Wheels, 20% off using our code. Troy Lee Designs, SKDA. Can't wait for you guys to see these new graphics. Mm-hmm. Dunlop, if you haven't tried the new MX-53 front and rear if you're riding hard pack, but I'm talking all around, that front tire is amazing. Check it out. 4-wheel parts, Adidas, Pro Circuit, Nihilo Concepts. Get a free gift over there using our code as well. Seat Concepts, Fire Department Coffee, firedeptcoffee.com. You get 20% off over there using our code. Specialized Bicycles, OGIO Motorsports, thank you so much. We're excited to have them on board. Paleo Ranch, Langston Motorsports, that's our show. Gentlemen, thank you. We'll be back next week. We've got some more cool guests coming up, as well as a show on safety. So some cool guests coming in for that. I think it'll be good for all of us to just run through. We'll maybe learn some things. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you next week.